I got the card. I got What's our chance? Don't move like that. Hey, back it up. I saw this is, but we're going to record what it's called something that Judith Wade, like he's got the there you go. That one. Are you serious? Grab another. Friends aren't coming to this. Friends come? John and Julie came about 4:30. They liked it. Good? Oh, yeah. They're good last year. Very good at the tour. So they like that. Good job. It's going to be a top 5. Nice. Oh, sure. I think she's being modest in what she's really going to do. She's going to go pop. Grab chairs and throw it up there. Now, how are you? Yes!
How are you? I'm good.
We talked.
And if you don't want to send it up, you want to picture? Nice to meet you. Where do you come from? Oh, in the same neighborhood. Oh, we're so glad you came. That's so cool. Hey, it's great you guys are here. Things just start happening. I wonder if he's taking a seat. Good, I have to sit there. Is there another girl sitting there? It's an empty place.
Hey, you were awesome.
Oh, seriously, I'm like, oh,
Sorry,
You're now on
you give me 15 minutes and I take 30. You know how I work.
he says,
you know, I had to go stand in for 30 Where's the bar?
you know, the doctor goes, says he doesn't have to.
I know! The very back
And lost, and his brother couldn't get health insurance in the store, so $200. It used to be $250 was the market. They keep lowering and trying to get people on these. Now they sent me home. They want to be on Plavix, such a one pill in the hospital. And it's great that I hear this guy last time in January says it's Georgia that makes the blood flow and it makes the platelets slippery because that's what happens. That's why I can't handle stuff. Okay. They set pressure.
Another present.
126 over 84. Blood pressure.
I know. Mine was like
117 over
Your what?
53 blood pressure.
When he went in.
Yeah. And they wanted me on the Zocor, and my cholesterol was 134. It's just a protocol that they do.
That's
It's
exactly what
exactly what they do. They want your blood
And that's
pressure.
what they told us. Well, it's just what we do.
Right.
And we
They
said,
gave me the prescriptions, and I never filled them.
I actually filled them because I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
They just handed me 8. And I took them and filled them. Well,
Yeah.
he was on a water pill, so he had to be on potassium. And they said his magnesium was low, so they put him on that. They put him on an anti-nausea if he needed it, which he's not taking. But I filled it just in case. They gave him a statin. They gave him 7. What is it? I break in. Oh, a blood pressure pill. They gave him a blood pressure pill, which he quit taking because it was. No, I told him potassium.
And so why would you even take it with blood pressure of 117?
Well, that's what when you after the surgery, it went up as high as 158.
Yeah.
I mean, his insulin. They had a hard time controlling his blood sugars. They finally sent him home and said, "Do what you're doing because you're doing a better job than we are." So we just put him back on everything because they took him off of even his medication for diabetes for like 3 or 4 days, which messed everything up. Had everything just kind of going haywire. His vitamins, they took him off of everything, and it just when they finally said, "Go home and do whatever it was you were doing because you were doing a better job than we are." That a nurse told us that as we were leaving. So
Well, they wanted me on metoprolol, and I didn't know what it was for, but I didn't take it. But what it was is to slow the heart down so it can heal, because the muscle gets its oxygenated blood at rest. So if the heart was beating a little slower, it would heal faster.
well, that's what they had him on.
They did.
They put him on that, and I was giving it to him until he got dizzy every time he stood up.
Well,
Yeah, so
I was taking something else too.
but it was. They also think it was because he was on the water pill, and that he wasn't taking enough fluids. He was releasing too much and not taking enough. So they said, well, if you're going to stay without the blood pressure pill, let's just keep it on and see what it does. If you don't need it, don't take it. So they've really been very, very open about it.
Well, that's
been interesting.
What's his name up there?
Do you have a
Yeah,
I didn't know.
just kind of see where things are at.
He's having some medical tests this week, so maybe Wednesday.
Scar is so good. I can't believe how good a Scarlet is.
Dr. Joe, 6 months afterwards, he recommended I take Cialis as a nitric oxide.
Yeah.
And you can get it for 30 days for
He's got
free
Steve on
once
that
a year.
Really?
So anyway, I got the prescription. I started taking it in January, and I started taking the metoprolol. And I was down in the valley, and I'm like,
You needed not
oh
to be
my
taking
gosh!
that much.
I'm feeling like my heart rate is so slow. It's down like 50, and I'm like, what's happening?
Well, he's taking the proarginine, which also helps regulate that blood pressure. And so with the blood pressure medication, it was just, the one time we took it, it was 85 over like 60. That's way low. And most of the time it was like 100. And I thought, I think that's why he's dizzy. So he quit taking it. He said, I'm not taking it anymore. And I told him, when we saw him yesterday and today, he's not taking that. And he said, well, if you keep it up with what you're doing, go. They were pretty open to it.
Do you take aspirin?
Just a baby aspirin.
Well, my naturopath says when you take an aspirin, you'll lose a teaspoon of blood. And it bothers my stomach. I tried the baby aspirin, the enteric coated.
Yeah.
Really? I couldn't handle it. 81 milligrams a day.
I don't think it bothers you, does it?
And
It's just the
I don't
baby.
think you really need it with the proarginine.
Well,
It keeps it slippery and flowing.
at this point in time,
That's right. Mine was 134.
his cholesterol was 81.
Yeah, it was way too low. Well, my naturopath says that's why I got a heart attack. It's not able to repair it's not able to repair the damage to the arteries.
I said, how
Right.
He said, well, most of it is because it helps with the winding up the artery. You don't see it. And I said, but doesn't that just you breathe about it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't sneak the shot out of the
You want me to sit there?
Well, you know Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe doesn't get this.
Wow, man, you get so quiet.
Well, you're talking.
It's okay. Everybody, yeah, like to be back in Hawaii, right? It was good to go to Cancun this last week and get my Hawaiian tan back. This is my real color. Remember when we went to the Polynesian Cultural Center for Legacy Retreat and we saw how they husk the coconut?
Yep.
And people ask, how do you know if this coconut is ripe or not? You see it on the tree. If it's green, it's not ripe yet. What color is it when you know it's ripe?
Brown.
Brown. Like me. I'm married.
Hey, I'm half brown.
Who else is brown? Yeah. Now you're Cancun brown. And so the guy that did the demonstration for us, what did he say to all the tourists out there? He says, which tells me that some of you are not ripe yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Oh, Lillian. Lillian also is ripe. See, she's ripe. We got to bring up that one picture of me and Lillian in Cancun. Wasn't that a nice one? Go to Lillian's Facebook, you'll see it.
She's beautiful.
She is. Filipina. But we had a fun time in Cancun, and we wanted to show you, to be the first ones to see it tonight. Our Cancun recap video. This is for the top 50 competition that we had in 2013. The top 50 point earners with a minimum of 10,000 points qualified to go to this all-inclusive resort for 2, and it was amazing. Raise your hand if you were there. Lillian, Lee Edwards, Lamar was up back there. And we had Paul. Paul was out, was with his daughter. She was awesome. Wasn't a great trip? We had a good time. So let's go ahead and roll this video.
So turn those lights. Yeah, turn them all up.
Maybe this firework. There you go.
I do my best to find some kind of
All right, let's get the very bottom. Dan is a beautiful Ryan Tampa from Chicago. Should be waiting. Say pray for that. Those down. Hey, hey. This is the all-way reception. So we're going to call that night.
Oh, good.
Because of our really great. We didn't try to get enough to eat. If you're going to cruise before, then you got to have one time.
Right.
Actually, I got a bar. We did days for buying gold, 700 pounds. I started with 24 hours a day. One of my guys, the boss right now, he didn't take the hell, he eat close to the middle of the house. And then the guy was 8 pounds less. And it's okay. That's why she the one from Florida. Down the hill, the other guy, those guys. Yeah, you know what's funny? That's a guy getting on his boat. There's that alligator in the yard. You know, monkey that creature. You might be wrong, you don't want to go look for it. Yeah, that was very nice. Yeah, that was good. You were yeah, the Cancun part wasn't as good as the Hawaii part. That's why you're coming. Yeah, thanks very much for the night, Cancun. There's a door around here now at the night club. We actually did some training. We had a nice meeting there for tax deduction purposes. Yeah. That's the pro writer. And Dr. Rose is the chiropractor here to go see the stripper after that. He's all right, buddy. Is this the lesson on the leg, brother? Oh, the night was very well. I think we're all going out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it all.
Yeah, that water.
Yeah, that's very rich about tuition. This guy knew how to dance. Family creative. From Boise. With the worker.
Hey, you're dancing.
There's no more he did. We weren't sure if it was much of a success, so we're still debating that as a company. Is it worth the $200,000 to spend outside of the compensation plan, or should we just take it away from people's mega match? I'm just teasing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, November 6th to the 9th of this year, we're going to Cabo San Lucas. To this resort right there. Yeah. Americana Fiesta Grand. It's going to be an amazing trip. And again, it is the Top 50 Challenge. A minimum of 10,000 points to get there. The top 50 distributors will earn for yourself and a guest this all-inclusive resort. And it was a blast. It really was. Lillian, come here.
Yay, Lily!
Lillian, come over here real quick and just give us a little feedback on Cancun, my girl. What did you like about it? How to qualify for that?
Cancun can't be compared.
Speak in English.
It's my first time actually coming over, flying to Cancun, Mexico, with my husband, and it's exciting. I did that because of him. I want him to be involved with Synergy because he's the one paying for my monthly. But we really enjoyed everything that we did. We had all the services. We've been in the Philippines. We have maids, but we don't have maids here. But you can have a lot of maids in Mexico. So we really enjoyed it. And in fact, I bought a membership for Cancun. So because I love it, I want to share that to my family and my distributor. Thank you.
What's that? Oh yeah, the only right ones in the group. Thank you so much, Lillian. Appreciate it. And I know I could bring Paul up here, I could bring Bill up here, and Lee, and Edwards, and they all say similar things. What a wonderful trip. And not only just going to this great vacation destination, but also the networking that was involved. Getting to know the other distributors and getting to know how they qualify to get there. So listen, to qualify is very simple, but it's going to take a lot of work. All right? There's points awarded for every time you sponsor a new distributor. They come in at 1 or 3 tracking centers. If you do 3 in 1 month, you get extra points. For every customer order and every personal order, you're going to get points. Every time you hit a new rate, you're going to get points. Anytime your new personals hit a new rate, you're going to get points. And for maintaining those rates, for both you and your personals, you get points. These are the right activity that we're awarding and recognizing. So when you see that top 50 list that's published every Monday on our blog, you got the top 10 for that month, and you got the top 50 cumulative for the year. Look at those people. Those guys are out there doing the business and doing the right activity. And that's what's wonderful about this trip. This is like the first trip Synergy has done, Dane, correct me if I'm wrong, in like 7 or 8 years. Every year we go to the Legacy Retreat. Guys like Dane and Paul, these presidential, You know, the guys with all the big wig, ego, and money. They go to these really, but they, yeah, see, you know what I'm saying? These guys go to these big legacies. This is for us, the everyday people. All of us get qualified for this. So I challenge all of you to get involved and get your business going and get qualified for Top 50. It runs just for 9 months, January 1st to September 30th. Top 50 right here. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to bring back on the stage tonight, as our host all day today, our presidential all the way from Seattle, Washington, Mr. Paul Blatt.
When you're traveling in Hawaii with Howard on a tour bus, I promise you it's a dangerous experience.
It's awesome.
We laughed and we laughed and then we laughed. And then we learned a lot of things, some things we didn't want to know about the Hawaiian culture, but we had a fantastic time. So, all right, so we're changing up the schedule a little bit tonight, but it gives me great pleasure to introduce our founder of Synergy Worldwide, a gentleman who, sorry Lamar, you're going after him now. But Dan has another commitment he's got to get to tonight. He's got a nephew who's going to sign actually a scholarship contract. He's got to run into a scholarship signing. So, but first time I met Dan, over 12 years ago, in a little office over by Geneva Steel somewhere, okay? And I pull into this little office. I had heard about Synergy because I was looking at another company in Utah, and somebody said, oh, have you heard about this? A friend of mine said, have you heard about this company called Synergy Worldwide? And I'm like, no, but, and he said, oh, well, they're a new company. And I made the comment, I said, well, they'll be out of business within 2 years. And he said, well, I don't know, they're owned by Nature Sunshine. I'm like, really? So that led to this whole discovery, okay? And I got the chance to come in, Rudy and I, sit down with Dan Higginson. Okay, many of you have heard me tell this before, but Dan told me 3 things. He said, look, because we're owned by Nature Sunshine, we will always pay checks on time, okay? Well, he told me a lot more than 3 things, for those who know Dan, okay? But, and it's such a small world, come to find out, my dad actually coached his father in football in college, so bizarre, okay? You know, but he said, we'll always pay checks on time, we'll always be financially stable as a company because of Nature Sunshine. Has that been true today, 12 years later? 100%. Most of the time we get our checks a day or 2 early, okay? Never missed a check. For those of you that are new, that should be vitally important to you. The second thing he told me was, he said, Paul, look, we've got these great products. Whoops. Okay, my iris jig on my phone. Let me shut this off. Last time I told everybody to turn off their cell phones, guess whose phone rang in the middle of a meeting? It's mine. So Dan said, look, because we will aggressively go after products, you know, that are on the cutting edge of science with real credibility, real science behind it. Is that even a question today? It's not. Back then, we didn't have Pro-Arginine, we didn't have Mystica, we didn't have any of the greens products, okay? We had Vitazone, Bodyguard, and Germanium. Guess what 3 products I took this morning when I got up? Those 3 products. Most of you probably didn't, but you know what? They were that good back then, okay? Now, we have wild animals in the building. I'm pretty sure that was Howard, by the way. He lost? I don't know. It surprised me. Okay? But you look at the products we have, you could build a business.
It's our other wild animal.
Eric Glenn. Oh, Eric Glenn. Oh, yeah. You'll hear from him later. Okay? You know, you could build a business based on any one of these products that are sitting in this product kit right now. Okay? That's how powerful our products are. And so Dan said, Paul, we were aggressively go after that science. And then the third thing he told me, which was the most important thing to me, is he said, we will always treat distributors, you know, with respect, dignity, because, you know, the distributors are our biggest asset. And we had a long discussion about that and whatnot. And I'm here to tell you that for 12 years, I've watched him do that on a regular basis, okay? And surround himself with people who also follow that model. That's the difference between great companies and every other company. And so I've asked Dan to share his story, talk about where he was and where he believes we're going as a company, specifically in the North American market. So it gives me great pleasure to turn over to my friend, Mr. Dan Higginson. I know why he wore a polo shirt is because he wants to show off how much weight he's lost.
The first time any of you have ever seen me up here without a suit on, correct?
Yeah.
That's the truth. I actually have my nephew I got to take to sign a, just till 10 p.m. tonight to legally sign a scholarship. And his mom and dad said, if he's not back here to sign that in time, you're dead. So I got to get him out of here. So I'm going to jump ahead of Lamar. Where's Lamar?
He's in the back.
Thanks, Lamar. Anyway, I've been asked to share my story. And for all of you that have heard it 9,421 times, just kind of zone out for a minute. But I think it's pretty important from the standpoint that we have about 35 people in this room that have never heard it. And need to understand kind of the foundation, where we come from, where we're going as a company. Back in early 90s, actually back in the early 80s, there was a knock at my dad's door, and you all know how I feel about my dad. We've talked about it 100 times, but my dad's a honest, straightforward, straight shooting, handshake kind of guy. This guy said he wanted to share a business opportunity with him, and I'll never forget it because I was literally 9 years old. And he walked in our home, and he kind of looked like an IRS agent. You know, he got on a suit and a briefcase, and looked like he was going to go into some kind of interrogative package, but he wanted to share a business opportunity, and as he got going on this opportunity with my father, my dad asked him, he said, "Sir, is this Amway?" And the guy said, no, this is American Eagle Freedom Group, and I'm here sharing an opportunity. My dad said, okay, great. Just sounded familiar. Well, a little while later, the guy opened up his briefcase, and my dad could physically see an Amway product catalog inside his briefcase. And my father said one more time, "Sir, is this a Amway company?" And he said, "Well, we're kind of sell the Amway products, but we're our own business called the American Eagle Freedom Group." "Well, are you a Synergy or not?"
Yes.
"What's the name of your company?"
CBS.
CBS. "Are you a Synergy affiliate?"
Yes.
Okay.
Sure am.
So that turned my dad off, and I won't tell you exact words he used because my dad's pretty harsh when someone deceives him. And he let him out of our home, and I can remember saying, gosh, here's my dad, the guy I look up to more than anything in the world, and he just got deceived. And it really bothered me, and I remember him, the message was, "Son, don't ever get involved with those pyramid scheme network marketing companies where you deceive people and cheat people. Just don't do it." So I was raised anti-network marketing, no joke. And fast forward a few years, just to kind of give you an idea on this business, I learned this when I was in Thailand not too long ago. In Thailand, when a baby elephant's born, they take that baby elephant and they wrap a big chain around its neck. And they put a big, huge pole in the ground, they cement it. And that elephant's taught and trained that can only walk in that 8 or 9 foot circumference. That's what it's trained to do. Well, you can imagine a baby elephant growing about 75, 80 pounds a day or whatever they grow, get very large very quickly. So that same guy goes in and takes that big chain off, puts a yardstick in the ground, puts a string on the elephant, and that elephant still never leaves that circumference. And the reason I share that with you tonight is because you need to understand where I came from and where you come from. And hopefully you came from where I came from, but I'm guessing most of you didn't, because it's a miracle where I came from with the parents that I had. In this life, I had one of my best friends who ended up accelerating in sports. Accelerating in sports for one reason, my dad. His dad wanted him to study, his dad wanted to get an education, his dad didn't want to play in sports, he thought it was a waste of time. But this kid wanted to play sports. This dad also told him if he got a B, he was stupid. My dad said I was the smartest kid he's ever met when I had a C in algebra. Different mindset, right? Different paradigm. This guy's dad would kind of push him down and make him feel second, third, fourth place. My dad always said, "You're the best at everything you do." I'll give you a perfect illustration. I remember going 0 for 3 at the plate in baseball. And I mean, horrible at bats. strikeout, 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 whiffing at curveballs. And I thought, geez, my dad's just gonna I just embarrassed the whole family. I got in the car and the first thing he said is, that is the greatest swing I've ever seen. I just gotta put your nose to it. I have never seen a swing like that, son. Seriously, you are the greatest player I've ever seen. My granddad, Grandpa Guston, was the same way. He'd come to my basketball games, we'd be up 6-2 at halftime, and he'd tell everybody in the whole place, he's hotter than a firecracker, well, there's only been 3 baskets scored. But you see how I was being trained in my mind. My mom, I came home with a C, and I was real nervous. I had a C in English. I came home, and the first thing my mom did is she looked at that report card and she said, who is this teacher? And I said, well, it's Mrs. Johnson. She ought to be fired. Smartest kid in the class, in her class is given a C. What do the other kids get? That was how I raised. Some of you were told just the opposite, that you were stupid, that you didn't have the ability to go dream and build your own dreams and do the things you want to do in your life. But I was just the opposite, and that's why I'm standing here today. Because as you get older and mature, and you look back on your childhood, you say, wow, how lucky was I? I'd have never had the guts to start this company. I'd have never had the guts to make that leap of faith. I'd have never had the guts to have a paradigm shift. Well, let me tell you how that paradigm shift happened. From hating network marketing with a passion, thinking it was the devil, broken marriages, cocaine, Ferraris, bad people, to today where I think it's the greatest business model in the world. In fact, I'll tell you right now, it's the perfect business model in the world run by imperfect people, just like myself. We make mistakes, we're not perfect, but the model is perfect. You're the CEO of your own entity. And so as I started to understand that, I was down doing some service work in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I did 2 things that were stupid. One, I hauled hay and moved sheep all day with the Indians on the res. And that afternoon, I was very thirsty. You know, on the Continental Divide, it was very hot. And all the Indians are drinking out of the barrel. So I drank from the barrel. That night, I went to a friend's wedding in Gallup, New Mexico, and ate 2 oysters. Between that water and those oysters, I was diagnosed with hepatitis A in a very, very, very aggressive strain where it was attacking my liver enzymes were off the charts, to where my father said, my son's coming home, to the president that was over that organization. And the president said, well, he's going to move in with his family, give him 10 days, and we'll see what happens. So I went in with Guy and Tina Nunley, who many of you have met at conventions. I lived in their house. They took care of me. Believe it or not, when you get hepatitis, this is what they give you: hard candy to suck on. Anybody had hepatitis? You don't go home with medication. It's a liver disorder, and it takes bed rest, and it's the best. Hepatitis A is the best to have. B and C are deadly. A is deadly if it's not under control. And so it was pretty crazy that I look at those Christmas tins of hard candy now, and when I was a kid, I loved them, but I look at them now, I want to bomb, because that's all I sucked on, and then those little licorice, black licorice would also stay in, and so they gave me those little Good and Plenties, and I ate them by the basketfuls. And I lost tremendous weight. I had dreams, just like every other kid in this room, to come back. Coach Steve Gardner was at Snow College, and he said, hey, come down and play ball here when you get home. Well, while I was on my 2nd year out there, they shut the program down. He moved to Utah Valley State College. So I had every focus of getting home, getting my body healthy, and going and playing baseball. And got home on April the 11th of 1992. Got a phone call from my ex-girlfriend the next day at Snow College. She said, will you come down here and talk to these Tongans about what you've been doing for the Indians? I said, absolutely. Went down there, and as I walked up into the Skylight Towers, here come this gal, walked out of the apartment. Hair was French braided, no makeup on. She walked by me, and my heart went. And I was thinking, maybe it's because I haven't been around girls for 2 years. Maybe she's not that pretty. And I went in, I talked to my ex-girlfriend, I talked to these Tongans and Hawaiians that were playing on the football team down there about my experience on the reservation. And as I'm walking back out, here come that gal again. Same gal. And she said, would you like to go fly a kite? Now, we all know in the American language, if someone tells you to fly a kite, that means get the hell out of here. But she did it. She wanted to really go fly a kite. So we went over to the football field, and we flew a kite. And 9 months later, let's see, 8 months and 30-something days later, we got married. And I've been married to her for 22 years and have 2 beautiful children. I share that because I got married on December the 4th. I'm trying to do everything I can, but I'm still suffering from the ill effects of hepatitis. I still have jaundice in my skin. I still don't feel 100%. And I want to feel 100%. I want to get after it. And about 6 days after we were married on December the 10th, I had to take a business law final at Utah Valley Community College. And one of those professors that you call and say, hey, I've got hepatitis and strep throat. And they say, I don't give a crap. You come here and you take the test or you fail the class. So I went in, stupidly, and I took the test. I aced it, mind you. I took the test, and as I was driving home, I got 1 mile from my house up to Payson exit. If you guys have gone down I-15 to Payson, 1 mile at that marker before you hit that McDonald's, and fell asleep or passed out, they don't know. Rolled my truck down the freeway and broke my T12 vertebrae in half. Woke up in the hospital, getting ready to drill the halos in my head, putting me on the traction system. And the first thing I said, which was very stupid because I've been married 6 days, my poor wife, rushed from Covey Leadership Center straight there. She gets there, and the first thing I say to the doc is, how's my truck? And he said, who cares? And I said, when can I play baseball? Instead of, where's my wife or how's she doing? I said the 2 worst things a guy could say. So I didn't start off that first week really positive. To make a long story short, I became very humble. Very humble. My wife was getting ready to leave the country on a tour to sing for USA Cloggers Association. It was her dream, and she said, I'm not going, I'm going to stay home and take care of you. And I appreciated that, but I said to her, you can't forego this dream. I'll have Phil Brooks, my buddy, move in with me, and he'll take care of me. And she said, honey, you can't even scratch yourself. How's Phil going to help you? And I said, we'll be fine. So we finally convinced her to go. Big mistake. He moved in, laid the newspaper out, threw the frozen pizzas you throw in the oven, and grease is going through on my carpet. I can't do anything about it because I'm laying in the body torso cast, and I can't move. And he's sloppy and doing his thing. And she came home, and when she came home, I was in a state of depression. And I used to tell you folks that I really believed when people were depressed, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I used to believe that when people were depressed, when you met them, that they put themselves there in that circle of influence. Somehow, somewhere, something happened, and they said, poor me, and they slid into a depression. Well, I can tell you I was dead wrong, because I chemically, from this back injury, went into depression, because here I am, brand new married, baseball's over, no chance of doing anything that whole year, no compression sports for a year. That means no city basketball, nothing. I was just depressed. And I got a phone call, a really unique phone call, and it was from Phil. And he said, Dan, he said, listen, are you going to play professional baseball like Dane Orridge or one of these guys? I said, of course not. He said, then what are you boobing about? Baseball's baseball. You can be a part of baseball the rest of your life. And am I part of baseball? I just come with my nephew from a baseball. I coach baseball. I got practice tomorrow at 10:30. I'm going to be in 14 different states this year playing baseball with little 13-year-olds. I love baseball. Love the game. I love what it teaches young men. So when he said that, he said, Michael Jordan got cut from his basketball team in high school. His coach told him, you'll never play basketball. You're not good enough. What did Michael Jordan do? He could have made the easy choice. The easy choice is, if you're not playing basketball, go be a bum, go get with a group of guys that you shouldn't hang around with and go down a different road. But Michael Jordan said, forget that. And he went and dribbled basketballs on uneven surfaces every day. And he worked on his jump shot. And he worked on his physical jumping every day. And then he went back that next year and he schooled everybody and started varsity. Well, what's the moral of the story? You don't quit. You don't quit, period. If you have something you believe in and you're dreaming about, you don't quit until you get it, period. And so when Phil said that, I started to come out of it. And I really started feeling good about things. And then that's where my life, sincerely, genuinely, was profoundly blessed and changed. I got lucky. I got a phone call from Philip Simpkins, and he said, Dan, we want you to come apply and interview for this job at Covey Leadership Center. And I said, awesome. I look it up, and I was working, at that time when I got hurt, I was working for Chris Kitchen, my cousin, in the coal mines. And I looked it up, and it said, bachelor's degree, yes. 4 years experience, all this. And I said, no, no, and no. I hadn't finished school. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have my 4 years experience and nothing. So I called him back. And I said, Phil, I don't want to waste your time, but I'm not qualified. I don't have your requirements. He said, come on over anyway. It'd be a good experience. So I said, okay. So I went over and I interviewed, and they hired me. They changed the policy, and they hired me. And I basically was running coffee to executives and wiping butts and making sure cars were registered. And then they liked what I was doing there, so they put me into customer service, making $7 an hour. And I was doing that, and I'm kind of a prankster. For those that know me and have been on the road with me, know that you gotta watch out in your hotel rooms and stuff, because I do funny things to things. And one day I put some squids up in this girl's office, so that when the light hit it, it would sting terribly. And I just think it'd be funny. Well, I got a phone call from my manager, Dave Walker, not Philip, who's the vice president, and I thought, oh boy, I'm fired. What an idiot. So I go in there and I sit in his office, I'm scared to death, and he said, Dan, I have a question for you. I said, what's that? He goes, we've got 180 call center agents. They're all taking calls. Their average call cell volume is about $49 a call. Yours is over 4,000. I said, so, feel a little bit better that I'm maybe not getting fired. He said, no, we seriously want to know why. Why are you selling $4,000 on your average phone call versus these guys selling $49? And I sat there and I thought about it, and I said, well, a 4-7 audio system is $44.95. And if they sell them a ruler for their data planner or something, they get them up there around $49. I sell Stephen Covey Live for 5 days at Sundance for $5 grand. That's what I do. And he said, okay, you're the new manager. And so I went from $7 an hour to this huge leap. And I won't even tell you what that leap was, but I thought I'd hung the freaking moon. I thought, jeez, I'm done. It was like a school teacher's salary. Okay, so now you know I'm not done. So I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have a 4-wheeler and a camping trailer to go hunting in my house. I don't need anything else. And that's when my paradigm shifted again, because I got promoted again, and I got promoted again. And then I'm now going out there, 25 years old, Fortune 500 companies, walking in the room with guys with all this nice gray hair, looking at me like, this punk kid, what's he doing here? We're not listening to him. But what was the difference? You had to listen to the message. I was just the messenger. You can't argue Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Principles, can you? It's sold the #1 business book next to the Bible is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We know that it's not Anthony Robbins, let's go walk the fire coals and jump around like a monkey and say we did it. That's hype and sweaty feet and whatever. We're talking about habitual change. And believe me, I've done it. I've been with Anthony Robbins. I've been with Tom Hopkins. I've been with the best of the best in the world. And I love those guys. But Stephen Covey teaches you change, habitual change. And so I think I've got the move. Now I've been promoted again. Now, geez, I'm up there where my dad's probably at after 30 years of busting his butt. I'm thinking, geez, I don't need to do anymore. And paradigm shifted again. You see, all of a sudden, I finally found health. Finally. I went to quacks and whacks and people, my dad said, stay away from those people, they're crazy. Now, when I get sick, guess who I go to? The quacks and the whacks. I do. If I got a back problem and on a 15-hour flight from Australia, I go straight down to Dr. Anderson's, get a couple tweaks and an adjustment here and there. I go get on my nutrition and I plug it up. When I had hepatitis and I couldn't overcome that over and over and over, a guy taught me the theory of chronic acidosis. I said, what's that? He said, your body's 78% straight liquid, and when it's acidic, disease thrives, and when it's alkaline, in a pH-balanced environment, it does not. I said, okay, so teach me. He said, anything God created that's green, you eat it. You get off the soda pop, you drink a lot of water, and you will see a change in your liver just like that. I said, okay, great. So I go back to my doctor, Spanish Fork, Utah, Roman Takasaki. I walk in, they check my liver enzymes, they're back to normal. He said, what have you been doing? I said, well, I've just been eating right. He goes, oh, come on, really? What, been bed rest or what? I go, no, I've been eating right. I feel like $1 million. My wife, who I courted for 9 months before I married her, never even knew me because I was only at 70 or 80%. I was never 100%. I always felt a little sluggish and a little down. When that happened to me, as it would have happened to you, what do you want to do with that knowledge? Share it. I had no vehicle. I hate network marketing with a passion. I had no vehicle to do it. I wasn't smart enough to get into retail, so I decided one of my clients at Covey was a vice president of Walmart. And I went to him and I said, listen, man, I've got this pH concept that I'd like you to take into the Walmart stores. He said, well, that's fine, but I'm going to tell you something. As a friend, I'll bankrupt you inside of 2 years. You'll be done. I go, what do you mean? I go, if you buy 60, 70,000 units of product from me and put it on the Walmart counters, he says, you know why Sam Walton's on the top 400 richest men in the world, and his sister and cousin and aunt, and 5 generations are $20.4 billion each in net worth? I said, no. He said, because Walmart makes 10% on everything they bring in the door, and they ship back everything they don't sell to you and charge you 10% more to bring your own product back. He goes, don't tell anybody I told you that, I'll lose my job. So I did the math and I realized I'm gonna be bankrupt in 3 months, not 2 years. I can't do it. So I kind of got it down a little bit again. And that's when the second major blessing and miracle happened in my life. My mentor at this time, now that I've been promoted, is a guy named David Fairbanks. So I go from Dave Walker, Dave Fairbanks, and now I'm sitting in the highest, there's nowhere else for me to go, in the client services group. And he says, we want you to do something we've never done before. Man, you've never seen a smile like that. Because at Covey, when they said, we want you to do something we've never done before, that means we're gonna pay you to go golfing, come up with ideas, and come back and present them. That's seriously what it meant. It's called out-of-the-box thinking. We gotta change, we gotta think differently. So I was jacked out of my mind. I go, all right, what are we gonna do? He goes, we're gonna go consult network marketing companies. My jaw almost hit the back, because right then it was God, Dwayne Higginson, Stephen Covey in that order. I'm serious. So that was like God's right-hand man, we won't say that because that's sacrilegious, saying to me, hey, you're gonna go consult network marketing companies. My jaw hit the table. I was sick. I said, how could Stephen Covey, of all men in this world, go into those pyramid scheme, cocaine, bacon, big homes, broken marriages, Ferrari driving, BS stories? That's what I thought. And he said, man, shame on you, Dan. I'll never forget it. He said, shame on you. He said, network marketing has 11 million active people that are better than you. Better than you. Better ethics, better principles, have bigger dreams. Shame on you. And he said, Dan, by the way, did you know that we sold New Skin and Amway $11 million in 7 Habits profile planners last year? I said, no, I didn't. He said, to get off your high horse, go down there and get the job done. So I'll tell you what I did. I'm a competitive man. I thought, I'm going to show these suckers. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to present the best 15 business minds in the world. I'm going to put their CEO of that company on the front cover of our Personal Excellence Digest. And I'm going to make him feel like $1 million. The whole downline's going to buy it because their CEO's on it. I'm going to make a ton of money, educate them to get out of the business, and everybody wins. That's what I thought. So I got on an airplane October 11th, 1995. I flew to Scottsdale, Arizona, and to a company called New Vision International. Walk up to the front door, and the guy that greets me is 6'8". He's got a big Y on his shirt. I'm the biggest BYU fan around, right? And I said, how could a guy in this shady business be wearing that? I go, where'd you go to school? Duh. Graduate BYU in the MBA program. I'm the COO. And I said, wow. And it kind of tipped me a little bit because when I got there, I parked my rental car, there really was a red Ferrari there. So I knew that something shady's going on, right? I go in and he says, let me take you on a tour. We go on a tour of the facilities. And we go on this tour of the facilities. I go back into the back room, and they had a room bigger than this room right here with their computer systems. We run 26 countries on a unit about like this now, as you all know. That's just technology advancement. They're bragging to me about it. This is the biggest, best technology in the world. I said, okay, whatever. Because I didn't even know how to turn on a computer. I still don't. I went on, and we go back into the warehouse. And I see no product, but I see tapes. And they're being unloaded like crazy off of this dadcum UPS truck. And I thought, oh boy, get rich now, ask me how, some scam. So I walk over, and I grab the tape, and I look at it. The tape says, dead doctors don't lie. So I looked at Steve, and I said, hey, do you mind if I listen to this on my break? He said, no problem. So I went out and listened to that tape. When I got done listening to that tape, shoddy industry or not, scam-based industry or not, I believed if I didn't get on New Vision's pyruvate product, I would die. That's how convincing that doctor was, for real. And that tape was before spamming laws. So what those guys were doing is they were mailing to the phone book address a tape to everybody in the greater Phoenix area. And guess who the fastest growth company in the world was at that time? New Vision International. And guess who I met? A guy named John Valenti, who was 19 years old, had 2 T1 lines going into his house, had about 8 girls banked on phone, answering the phones, took his mother, who had just went through a horrible divorce. He was a mechanic, high school dropout. She was just through a negative divorce. And I said, how much income is she making? He said, $250,000 this year. I said, how much you making? $1 million. I went, geez, this kid can make $1 million. a year, I can make $4 million in my sleep. That's how I felt after meeting him. But I started to have a slow paradigm shift, right? Then I bounced to Marinda, and then up north to Melaleuca, and then back down. I went to 22 companies, the last being New Skin International, and I was launching their Big Planet platform. My job was to bring the best thinkers in the world, who I knew personally and worked for personally, Ken Blanchard, Zig Ziglar, Warren Bennis, Peter Singh, Tom Peters, Roosevelt Moskander, Stephen Covey, to name a few. They would write a 1 to 2 page concise article on business, and we would sell it to Fortune 500 companies. My job was to get that done at that level, right, for New Skin. So I show up at their first convention, and there's the limos coming in left and right. And the CEO of SNet, is that right? No, UUNet, some internet deal, gets out. Then the next limo pulls up, and the CEO of Sun Microsystems gets out. And then another limo pulls up, and it's Blankeroni in the game. And I'm thinking, good Lord, this is incredible. And there's 10,000 people packed in that salt palace. So I'm thinking, wow. But I walked up to the main guy, Kevin Dolan. I said, dude, you're in trouble. Why is that? You got 10,000 people in here and you have nothing to deliver. They were selling Steve Young calling cards and talking about deregulation and an iPhone that didn't come out for 3 years. And they were in trouble. And guess what? New Skin shut down. Big Planet. So now I look like a genius. Here I come from Covey, and I'm just doing this consulting gig. Now this guy thinks I'm a genius. Wow, you've seen that before anybody. I said, it was people on hold for 22 minutes to get calling cards from Steve Young. Are you kidding me? Who's an idiot going to do that? I'm not, right? So I learned a lot. And then, I had a couple family members, one of them in the room tonight. They had a unbelievable program that I'd never seen before. And I looked at that program and I got excited about it. So I started studying the back end of this industry. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I'm going to tell you really quickly how I got here. I went to Brigham Young University, Von Call, and I said to him, I want to know why network marketing has the reputation that I think it has. Why does it have a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream and a so-so reputation? And I said, I want to know. So he went and studied, and I'll tell you in a 2-hour report what he said. I'll tell you in the next 60 seconds. He said, Dan, I went and studied televangelism. The guy looked just like you, wore the same suit you always wear, stood up in front of the pulpit. Wife has cancer, husband's got heart disease, someone's dying in the family. He says, send your money to God's church, and we will pray for her and bless her and save her. Now, I'm not discounting any of that, just so you know. Jimmy Swaggart or any of those guys, I'm not. What I'm telling you is that's how it works. We're going to pray for her, just send us to God's money. God's going to pour a blessing out, we're going to heal her. What do we do as human beings? Reach right in our pocket, pull out our last dollar, and send it to God's church because we have the fear of hell, damnation, or death of a loved one. Then he flipped the channel. He said, Dan, I went and studied telemarketing. Got a guy in there. He's reading the obituaries. He sees that Paul's wife, Mary's husband, Paul, died in Portland, Oregon. And some telemarketer called and says, geez, Mary, so sorry to hear about your loss. Who's this? Listen, I protect people. That's what I do. I seen that you lost your husband. You know Social Security's run out in this country. You're financially going to be hurting because you're young. You're only in your 70s. We're going to change your life today. We're going to bless it. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to have an 18-year-old young man come to your house with 18 vending machines. We're going to send them all over the greater Portland area. You're going to make $18 per vending machine per week. And it's only going to cost you $5,400, and you're going to have that $5,400 investment going to a personal coaching and write it off your taxes. Well, sir, I don't have $5,400. Well, just a minute. What's your Social Security number? Boom. MasterCard, can you qualify a lady for $7,500? Oh, you can? Great. Mary, we got you qualified for $7,500. We just put the $5,400 on it today. We get you the vending machines next week. This 18-year-old collects your money, brings it to your house. In 2 years, when you're done with this coach, we will have 300 machines at $18 a week in the greater Portland area. You will be financially rich. In fact, Paul might come back from his grave. I'm being serious. This is not, I'm trying to be facetious. Guess what happens to Mary? Oh, we better do that. Social Security's running out. We better do that. I've got to have something to rely on. Fear of what? Financial gain and loss. Fear of hell, damnation, or death. Fear of financial gain or loss. Uh-oh, now the real Dan Higginson just walked in the room. Same suit, same haircut, same charisma. And he tells you everything you want to hear. You're going to get healthy with Pro Arginine. You're going to get wealthy with the Mega Match. It's an easy business. No. Nobody in this room has ever heard me say that. Ever. Never. It's the hardest business I've ever been a part of, the most lucrative and rewarding business I've ever been a part of. And it has been for everybody that's successful in this business. See, when you're in the womb, they've scientifically proven what happens in the household when you're in the womb is how you come out. If it's a negative energy, if it's a negative feelings, if it's negative, that's why they say put Beethoven up to a mom's stomach. And those children, and they study, when they fall up, you know what those children do? Get 4 O's, valedictorian of their class, musically talented. So what I do now, I'm whispering down there to my son, hey, you can swing a baseball bat like nobody and whatever. Right? Because of science. The truth is this. I stood in front of the room. You got excited. You went home tonight. Your wife says, where have you been? Well, I've been over at Pleasant Grove. What are you doing? Well, it's a synergy meeting. What's that? Well, it's one of those health and wellness companies. Is that network marketing? Husband says, yeah. We're done. 3 days later, UPS shows up with that first synergy package. You guys walk it in, you put it in your pantry, and shut the door. We wonder why we have a high attrition rate. Right? It's just a fact. So what did I do? I changed the game. In 1999, when you joined this business in my meeting, you weren't allowed to sign up. Then half of you came up and wanted to nuke me and say, guys, Stan, they're here, they want to sign up. What are you doing? I want them to go home, I want them to sit on it, I want them to think about it, I want them to know what they're getting involved with, and I want them to have buy-in from their spouse. So when I realized that didn't work, I changed the game again. I said, now we're going to go to the 72-14-90 plan. 72 hours, you motivate, train, and inspire that new person. You do not let them talk to their spouse. You don't lie to them, but you don't let them talk to them. You don't go home and brag about synergy. You go to work with them. You get their names list. You get them prepared to do this business the right way. You let them become a product of the product in that first 72 hours. In 14 days, we're going to get them results. Bet. Somebody puts 14 people in front of me, I guarantee I'm going to put 2 people in your business, right? When those 2 people are in my business, now they're in the 72-hour window. We're teaching, training, motivating, and inspiring for 72 hours. They got to get 2 people. See, the problem in this room is you guys think you have to sponsor 15 to 20 people. You don't. You need to find 2 people you love, carrying the door, sponsor them, and stick with them until they get their 2 sponsored. Once they get their 2 sponsored, then you can go back to sponsor, but not before. Mark Comer, Paul and Rudy, Diane Levin. I can go on and on. What's their check made up of? Mega Match. People they personally sponsored that have driven success. Look at Scott Brumfield. Scott Brumfield's done everything the right way, goes out and supports everybody, funds everybody, does everything, but has no mega matches. Has a phenomenal income, phenomenal living, has hit presidential, has made a ton of money, more than any of you in here would even dream of making, but yet he has no mega matches, or his check would be triple what it is today. You know, I just talked about that the other night. So when we look at this business and I see what happened, I said, okay, after meeting with this philosopher, I said, okay, tell me what the secret of this business is. He said, Dan, it's simple. You're a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. You're 28 years old. Nobody likes you. You're going to go try to sell people that are 29 and older, and they're not going to give you any credibility. He goes, let me give you a perfect example. I want you to try this. So I tried it. He said, go find the high school superstar at your local high school. Go get him. And make sure he's the captain of the football team, the most popular kid, maybe the student body president, and has the hottest girlfriend. I said, okay. So I went and found that kid. He said, tell him you're going to make him a multi-millionaire before he's 25 years old. And tell him exactly how you're going to do it, and be honest about it. I said, okay. So I did all this work. I did this research. I made a few phone calls. Now, that kid that I called, when his mom and dad went out of town Friday night, he made one phone call to his best friend, who texted out to about 300 of the student body, hey, so-and-so's mom and dad are out of town, party at his house. Guess who showed up? The whole school. Beat the hell out of the home, caused trouble, left. So I call him the next week. Hey, buddy, you want to be a millionaire? Absolutely. You want to be successful beyond measure? You want to be the icon of the youth movement in this business? Yeah. Be at my house at 7 p.m. and bring the student body, whole student, the same people that came to your party. Done. He shows up. 7:05. Hey, where's your people? 7:10. 7:20. Put my arm around him. Told him this was a test. You have no business credibility. Your girlfriend's not even here. That's sad, right? He wanted it, but nobody else gave him the credibility because he hadn't earned it. So I was in that boat. I was a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. He said, Dan, who do 5s go to? Their circle of influence. All the people that work for me at Covey, if I called them and said, hey, I just started Synergy, come join it, do you think they'd have joined it? All of them. because they were 4s, and the 4s go to the 3s, the 3s to the 2s, the 2s to the 1. Now we're out of business because 1 out of 211 new network marketing companies make it 2 years. 1 out of 3, no, it's more over that now. Way over that now on the latest DSA stats. 1 company out of all those companies make it to their 2nd birthday. So I march home with all this knowledge and tell Susanna, hey babe, we're gonna liquidate the 401k, gonna max out 4 credit cards, gonna sell the car, we're gonna start Synergy. Most guys have been divorced. My wife said, hey, let's do it. You're young, you could go back to Cubby if you needed to, let's do it. Got with my partners, we all pitched in all we could, and then we went and raised a bunch of money from a bunch of crooks, and we launched. And they never put the money in, and we got in a big, big bind. When we got in that bind, we either needed an angel investor or we needed a real good company. And guess who came knocking unsolicited? Nature Sunshine. And when he came to the door that day, I'll never forget, we were down on the old Geneva Road in a little concrete tilled-up building, and he pulled in, my heart started to race. My grandma was a pill separator at Nature Sunshine at that time. I thought, my hell, they're going to sue us. We have infringed on a product. We were young. We didn't know what we were doing. I thought, they're going to sue us. We've broken a product. We've done something stupid. He comes in, wants to meet with me and Glenn and Kevin and Dave. We go in the room, and we're sitting there, and in 15 minutes, he goes through this analogy. He says, look, you guys are a red cherry red Porsche, beautiful to look at. You drive 70 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. You don't use your blinker correctly. You're not rotating your tires every 3,000 miles or your oil. We're in a Cadillac. Speed limit says 55, so we go 55. We use our blinkers. Our car's in the shop, getting rotated and balanced and engine flush and transmission flush every 3,000 miles. All we want to do is take our Cadillac and put it in front of your Porsche and give you some guidance. Man, I went from thinking I'm being sued and already out of business to, of course, your ego and your net, that comes along. And so, you know, you barrel out your chest and say, hey, you know what, we're honored and privileged, we're not for sale. And he left, shocked. And I couldn't believe we said that. We're about to be bankrupt ourselves. We'd had a major problem in Korea, a money game deal. We did $800,000 in sales our first day in Korea. 5 of those people duplicated their applications 5 times. We paid the commission, they left the company. You're not getting your money back now. I'd like to see you go find 2 Park Soo Kims and Park Soo 1 and Park Soo Kim. It's done, it's over. So we had to hire a consultant to go over there to try to find our money. Found that they bought a laundry company, legitimate, where you actually wash your laundry. They bought 2 Mercedes-Benz and a pizza factory type business in Korea, and the guy went to China. So now how are you going to chase him to China? And we're spending big money to do this. We are bleeding. So Nature Sunshine calls again, not interested. Calls again, not interested. Calls again, not interested. Never forget as long as I live. Late one October night, woke up out of a dead sleep, which I never do if you know me. Dead sleep, panicking. Looking around, run to my daughter's room. She's just cooing away, sleeping, peaceful. Check my wife. She's sound asleep, doing well. Freaked me out. So I jumped in my truck and I turned the spotlight on and I drove up through the Prairie Davis Ranch area and I was looking at these elk and deer and stuff, and boom, it hit me. Peter Drucker was the smartest man I've ever met as far as business savvy, and he talked about the 5 unique principles of business that have to converge at the same time. He said, Dan, you better find a company that's rock solid financially, rock solid, or don't join it. Number 2, they better have a product that's not me too, that's absolutely necessary. Number 3, the timing and trends in the marketplace better support that, crystal clear. And last but not least, you better have a compensation plan that treats people fairly. And I thought about it and I said, we've got 4 out of the 5. But we're missing number 1, the most important one, money. $7 million in personal debt. You ever try to go to bet on that? I mean, seriously, $7 million of personal debt because our investors who were taking us public never put the money in. In fact, they scammed us out, sold a bunch of stock, and made money while we were bleeding. Never gave us the money. We're dying. And I said to myself, what if Nature Sunshine would allow us to sell to them, but would allow us to be a wholly owned subsidiary? Nothing changes. Same comp plan, same product, same everything. We're Synergy. So we called him. He says, yeah, we'll do that. Miracle number 3. They acquired us November 1st of 2000. I'll never forget, I was elk hunting with my father. My dad says, man, you look just happy and jovial. I said, Dad, you ever had $7 million of debt left off you? My dad, what? My dad's Mr. Conservative. How much? He said, $7 million. He said, it's gone, Dad. We're debt free. We don't owe anybody, and we have $100 million in cash in the bank now. Huh? What, son? I mean, he's going to grab his chest, right? I'm thinking he's gonna have a heart attack. I said, Dad, yeah, we're debt free. We have $100 million in operating cash to work with, and we're gonna take this thing to the moon. On that announcement, I really believed that we were gonna go from 1.8 million a month in Japan to 4 million to Brandon to 40 million. I really believed that. Just the opposite happened. We made the announcement, our sales went like this. And they kept going down month after month after month. And beautiful Hughes family, Nature Sunshine's founders, I thought they were just gonna shut us down. So I got really frustrated and I flew to Japan and I walked in the room, and if you guys know the Japanese culture, you never ever shut the door and you never lock it. I shut the door and I locked it because I wanted their eyes to go from here to here real quick. So I said to those guys, I said, look, I am gonna tell you something right now. I have let the Hughes family down. You guys tell me you love me every time I come here. When I turn around, you stick that samurai sword right in my back. I'm not leaving until I get the truth, and neither are you. And the reason you don't do that in their culture is because they have so many earthquakes, right? They have constant challenges. I mean, I'm sitting over there and I feel a shimmy. I don't even, I just keep eating. I mean, it's not a big deal because it happens all the time. And their eyes got real big, and they finally came out and told me the truth. They said, Dan, you sold your dream. I said, thank you for being honest. Anybody else? Yeah, they suck. Nature Sunshine sucks. Thank you for being honest. Now, seek first to understand, have a 5 of Stephen Covey, then to be understood as a leader. And then I looked him in the eye and I said, who's the 3rd best company that you know of on planet Earth financially? Nature Sunshine. Who's bigger than New Skin and Amway in 16 countries? Nature Sunshine. Who's debt-free and a 5A1 credit rating publicly held? Nature Sunshine. Who has the #1 manufacturing institution in the world, guys? Not me saying it. This is a fact. Nature Sunshine. Eyes got a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And I said, who's in and who's out? Because I'm going to go back and tell the Hugheses that I'm not going to bleed out. By the way, my other 3 partners, they were gone at this time. I'm left alone. Just me. No buddies, no partners, nobody to call and freak out with. Just me. And they said, we're in. I got on the plane, I flew home, and our sales had gone up like $19,000 just like that. Then $253,000. Then $1 million. Then in 2004, December the 8th, $8 million. We're in full-blown critical mass momentum. Dan Higginson's, in their eyes, a hero, which it was all our distributors. You know that. If you don't do it, we're nothing. And boom, I wake up to news. Dan Higginson, Doug Fagel, insider trading allegations, blah, 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 blah. Lady looking for a little promotion over in LA, local paper, writes this article. We get delisted from the stock exchange. Front page news, Tokyo Times. Nature Sunshine, delisted. Doug Fagioli, insider trading allegations. Full investigation, SEC. Again. This time, I'm beyond what's end because I've never worked that hard in my entire life to get where we were at. What do? We back all the way back down to about 49 or 50 million. Stu can remember the exact numbers, I don't. And I'm devastated. And that's when I said, that's it. We go through an SEC investigation, $22 million in legal fees, and they find nothing. And what do they say? No, they didn't say sorry. I wish they would have. It made me feel a lot better. They didn't say sorry.
No.
They didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
Found nothing.
Yeah.
Relisted. Go back to Japan. Pants hurt my ankles. Lost all credibility, and I say, don't. You either believe me or you don't. We've proven our innocence. We've proven that we're the top company around. We were number 37 best ethics company. We're here. Are you in or out? And guess what? We've never come back in Japan the way we want. We're doing okay, but not near where we are. And what did we do? We started launching other countries. Synergy started growing, hyper growth again. Last year we had our best year ever, $112 million in revenue. Why should that be exciting to you? Because when Paul Blatt met me, how many years ago? He had Germanium Bodyguard and Vitazone, which I still take every day. And if you said to me, this is going to shock you. If you said to me, Dan, pick one product, end of the world, go home with it, it would be a battle inside me. Do I take Germanium or Pro-Einstein? It would be a battle. That's no joke. Yet they had no brochures, they had no tools, they had nothing. You guys get to go talk to your friends and say, oh, this was studied at the High Desert Institute of Cardiac Health. This was studied at Dr. Berger in Germany. This was studied in Ireland. This just came out in the physician's desk reference in the PDR as the #1 L-arginine product in the world. Is that not what it says?
Yep.
You have that. Oh, by the way, you work for the top 100 best companies. We weren't, guys, how many network marketing companies were listed in that top 100?
None.
0. Us. Us. We're debt free. We're publicly held. There are no secrets and games. Trials and tribulations are mandatory. Misery is optional. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to go after this again. Now I go into the board and I say, listen, I want to go into the founder role only. I'm tired of writing checks. I'm tired of signing, and I'm tired of having people like the SEC crawling down my throat. I want to go out and do what I do in front of people and share the story and vision. They fought me on it for 2.5 years and finally gave me my release January of this year. I'm now just the founder. I don't have to worry about Jack. I call Dan Norman. He's got all that stress on him. I'm just over here giggling, humming along. Hey, Dan, what's up? He's pale white, freaked out. Some Ministry of Health called. They're gonna that's an illegal ingredient. And all that I had to deal with for a long freaking time. Stu Rudder and all these guys, smarter guys than me, are now running it. Now I get to go out in the field and drive revenue with this philosophy, teaching people how to live, love, learn, and leave legacies. Stephen Covey taught me that. Live like you're dying, you're a better human being. If I told anybody in this room right now, you're going to die, you're dying. Unfortunately, you're going to be, killed in a car wreck tomorrow or something. But you're leaving this earth tomorrow. How would you spend a day? Because if you're have a half a heart and half a mind, you're a good human being, it's going to be a tender freaking day. You're going to talk to your children like you've never talked to them before. You're going to ask for their forgiveness for all the things you've done. You're going to get on your knees and pray to God that He forgives you for everything you've done. You're going to go and do these things that you've never done in your traditional life purpose, right? But if you live like you're dying, you're a better person. If you love the same, what happens? You don't see black, white, Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, yellow, green, blue. You don't see it. You don't see Baptist, Mormon, agnostic, atheist, Muslim. Some of my very best friends on this earth are Muslim. Now, after 9/11, when I first went to Indonesia, I was like this, because they say, I'm going to kidnap you, and I get 4 armored guards. You ever gone to a urinal with 4 armored guards? That's a true story. It's terrible. You know what happened? I was sitting in that urinal, stage fright, machine guns on both sides, and I thought, this is no way to live. I'm not going to do this. So I called the board, because we have traveler's insurance. I said, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want bodyguards. First of all, that just spotlights you in my mind. I just want to be myself. And I convinced them. Now I go over there, I walk around, I talk to people, I hug people, I do my thing. Because if I'm supposed to go, I'm supposed to go. Live, love, every day as though it's your last, you're going to be a better person. If you learn, grow, and develop, now what happens is when you understand their cultures. See, they're great people. They just think a little differently than we do. Muslims are the best people in the world. There's just 1% that's a bad apple group that wants to conquer the world. Just like there are Christians, just like there are atheists, just like agnostic, whatever. We're all good people that have a little piece of the truth that want to share it, right? That's it. That's the only difference between us. So now what I look at this is a big synergy family. And if we live, love, and learn, we will leave a legacy when we die. When you go to a funeral and you hear what they say about that individual, that's the definition of their life. They may be dirt poor. I've been to those funerals. Dirt poor. Never had the money to get a new car. Never finished their education. But had a heart the size of Texas, served the entire neighborhood. Would be the first one to aid your response. And guess what? That was their legacy. My legacy that I want to be remembered for is I blessed millions of lives because I had an opportunity to start a company called Synergy Worldwide, where 1 out of 2.2 people need my product. Whether they want it or not, they need my product. Because the number one killer in the world is cardiovascular disease. And we happen to have it. Now, Paul had one arrow in his quiver. You have 13. You have no excuses. You have 13 sharp arrows in your quiver. Pure. High Desert Institute Cardiac Health Study. My personal testimony. Everybody in here. If I had you guys come up and talk about the product, I'd have to leave because it'd be evangelic. I've seen miracles happen with the product in my own dad's life. I had quadruple bypass surgery. Miracles. I've seen that, witnessed it. Nobody can argue with me about it. I've seen my body transform 29 pounds since the Dan vs. Dan challenge came out on one product called Slim Smart. This made me want to be better, want to eat better, want to do more. You know what? It also may prolong my life to be around my kids and my grandkids in the future because I made a simple choice, right? It's a choice, folks. You have to make it. You can either be proactive or reactive. You can see the glass half full or half empty. You can leave here tonight and say, I'm going to go get 2 new people in this business, and I'm not leaving their side till they have 2. Or you can go and sit there on your chair and complain about everything, see the glass half empty, and say, gosh, if I could just find 40 good people. You don't need 40, you need 2. Then you can prioritize your life. First things first. People always say, well, geez, Dan, yours is obviously synergy. No, synergy's 4th on my list. God, my wife and family, my extended family, then synergy. That's truth. And if I stick to that and stay in that belief system, guess what's going to happen to my synergy business? It's going to blossom. Same with yours. I met a guy that told me his golf was his priority over his family. I said, wow, that's pretty sick, but I guarantee if you stick to it and you really focus and you stay true to the principle of what you believe, you'll be more successful in synergy. And he is. We all know what I'm talking about. So, I think it's jacked up, but he did it, he believed it, he stuck to it, and his synergy business thrived. You have to understand your principles. You got to think about win-win situations in your organization. If someone's struggling in your organization or if someone's not willing to work, why are you putting volume below them? 20% of all people in this nation do 80% of all the wealth in this world. 20%. So find the 20% that you brought into this business and go build with them. Quit wasting your time with these guys over here, because I did that for 6 years because my heart's too big. I love everybody, as you know. I've been on calls with you when you've only had 4 or 5 people, when I should have been on a call in Europe with 300 people. Because I love people. That's a weakness. That's a great strength as well, right? Then if you seek first to understand, then to be understood as a leader. And you put yourself in a leadership role. You say, I'm a leader. Because I know most of you don't believe that. This whole business is built on one word, belief. If you don't believe, forget about it. You're done. People see it. They see it when you take the product. If you're not a believer of that product, they will see right through you. There are no phony games in this business. Is this business easy? Absolutely not. Is it smart? Brilliant. You know that the average network marketer can write $2,700 a year off on their taxes just for showing up to weekly meetings and car travel expenses and food? Just that. And yet nobody in this room is probably doing it. It's crazy to me. Guys, synergy is the place. Now is the time to get engaged. In a market that is so fresh and so untapped and so untouched that if I went to Texas tomorrow with a big billboard that said, I'm the founder of Synergy, ask me about it, nobody knew who I was. They'd say, who's this crazy sucker? Crusading for something? What's Synergy? People haven't even heard of us. Yet we're doing $112 million in revenue on our way to $1 billion in revenue. I truly believe that in my heart. Why? Because 1 out of 2.2 people need my product. And they have a 120-day money-back guarantee. They have 0 risk. You find a network marketing company that says, here, Jill, take 3 cans of this, and if it don't work for you, just send it back and give you your money. Just name one. That doesn't exist. Why do we do it? We don't give a product back. People love the Synergy product. People love the science. People love the PDR. People love going on a tour of Nature Sunshine's facilities. Everybody in this room been on that tour? Everybody has? Anybody not been on that tour? Okay, you need to go to that tour. Right away, go down there, walk in the front desk, down the Synergy Independent rep, even if you're not. Let them take you on that tour. You'll see people in moon suits, beard masks. I can't even go in the label department because there's 1,800 labels, and if one of them gets screwed up, we're in trouble, right? Someday I'm going to get in that label department before I leave the company, just because, so I said I could do it. But right now it's guarded, right? And it's serious. You can eat off the floor down there, can't you, Brian? Yeah. When they get that big margarita mixer thing and pull all that ingredient out, It sucks that out. Did you know there's an airbag system that comes in there and a purification system that comes in? And then they still send it down and have it completely cleansed before the next batch. We run at a OTC3 pharmaceutical drug level. We don't need to. We choose to. We could file a piece of paper and manufacture drugs at that facility if we wanted to. We choose not to. We don't want to need to be regulated in that environment. Good. Folks, you have nothing to lose and a tremendous amount to gain in leaving your legacy on people's lives. I can't think of anything in this room, anything. I really can't, honestly, think of anything I could do more profound than what I'm doing today. Blessing lives. Do you know how I feel when I get that email from so-and-so that says, man, my blood pressure is 149/91, my feet were black. Now my feet ache, and I don't know why, but they're pink, and my blood pressure is 110/70. You know how I feel? You know how I feel when my grandma's in, 94 years old, just 2 years ago was up reading to elementary kids with congestive heart failure, and doesn't go a day of her life without taking proorgenin. You know how it makes me feel? Real good. So, shouldn't have started talking family. Find that passion with your own family, your warm market, the people you know on a first name basis, the people that cut your hair, the people that mow your lawn, the people that work with you on a daily basis, your coworkers. Share a product they have no risk. Find 2 people you want to work with the rest of your life. 2, not 10, not 30, 2. Help them duplicate 1 level over. They get their 2. They're edifying you. You're doing the presentation. You're helping them with their names list, and duplicate it 1 more time, then back yourself off. Let those 2 new people you brought in be the leader, and go sponsor 2 new people and put them where the 20% of the people are doing 80% of the revenue, and stay focused on it, and you will find success at the highest level you've ever dreamed of. I can assure you that, because I'm looking at a man right there and his partner Rudy and others that looked at me and said, if I could only get to $10,000 to $15,000 a month in residual income, I'd be rock solid happy. Then they came back to me and said, man, if I could just cross $50,000 a month in revenue, personal mailbox revenue, I'd be happy. Then they came back to me and said, man, if I could just get over this $100,000 a month, the charitable things that I can do are unmeasurable. And some people in this room, as you know, $150,000 US a month. And I scratched my head and said, why am I on the other side? Ridiculous. But you know what gets me up in the morning and gets me driving? The people in this room that make $300 a month and improve their health. Those are the ones that create the $150,000 a month earner. Those people that are out there busting their butt for $300 a month of residual income and are finding happiness beyond measure. That's what inspires me. That's what gets me going. I've been around wealthy people. I've been around filthy, filthy rich people. I've interviewed billionaires, and it doesn't move me. What moves me is Sally Homemaker, whose children are having an opportunity to enhance their health and make an extra $300 a month to get the product for free. Now, if I can help 1 million people do that in 26 countries, we're well over $1 billion in revenue. I've left my legacy, and then I can tell my son Chase, when you get home from your service, you're 21 years old, this baby's yours. That's my goal. My daughter knows the comp plan better than most of you in this room, and is a product of the product more than most of you in this room. My daughter, who's going to be a senior in high school, can't wait till her 18th birthday. And I said, why? She goes, because I can join Synergy. I go, no, you can't. You're related to me. That's the problem. She goes, well, I'll just have my friends do it. I said, no, you can't do that. I'm going to change that policy. Because my kid wants to do this business. And she wants to run this business, and she's not afraid to talk to anybody about this business. Talk to my daughter about Pro-Arginine Plus, and you will be amazed at the passion that comes out of her eyes. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'll turn it back to Paul. Thank you.
Well, there's no questioning Dan's passion at all about any of this. You pretty much got 48-hour training in 1 hour. So, you know, he truly cares about you as individuals, and that's one of the reasons Rudy and I joined. So, all right, Lamar, are you going to come up and do this?
Yes.
While he's doing that, everybody stand up, okay? Turn to the right. Shake it around a little bit. Hopefully it's somebody you like. Put your hands on their shoulder and start rubbing to your right. Okay? Alright, some of you don't know what your right is. I can tell that right now. Alright, some of you are enjoying this a little too much. Alright, turn to your left or your right for those of you that don't know. And you turn that favor.
I'm no good at this.
A few little karate chops always feels good. Hey, keep your hands above the waist. That's all right. All right, everybody sit down.
Love it.
Hey,
Getting goosebumps.
Hi, Mark.
Okay. All right, the store will close at 9 o'clock tonight. If anybody wanted to get something, there is a TV in the store that is streaming this. If somebody needs product tonight, and it will be open from 8:30 to 1 tomorrow. Okay, so our next guest, Mr. Lamar Wiscombe. I had the chance, many of you saw him a couple months ago. I had the chance to travel with him in Europe, and we had a great time. But what impressed me with Lamar is not only does he have an incredible knowledge, not only is he putting together some great things that we're going to see come to fruition over this next year when it comes to packaging and products and so on here at the company, but here's a gentleman, and we were on this crazy tour where we landed in one country, and we're in Ireland one night, and we're in London the next night, and we're in Czech Republic the next night, or Poland the night after that, and it was back to back to back to back. And it wasn't fun, okay? I mean, it was great. It was a lot of fun. That's a brutal schedule. And what impressed me about Lamar is every city we went into, okay? Before the meetings and after the meetings, till midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m., he's talking with the distributors. He's answering their questions. And some of them were, you know what, I have this itch and this scratch, and I have this stuff that happens. You know, and Lamar did a great job in saying, I'm not a doctor, you know, but here's what I would recommend. I was really impressed with how much he truly cares about the people and the time and effort he puts into this. So I'm going to turn the time right over to Lamar right now. So thanks, Lamar.
Thank you. I don't normally talk really loud. I'm not nearly as loud as Dan is. And in the back, even Dan wasn't that loud. So I'll do the best I can to eat this microphone, I guess.
There you go.
Well, welcome. We have 30 minutes of quick training. So we're going to do the best we can and learn the most we can about some products that maybe you're not as familiar with. So we're going to start off with a quote. And this is something that I've learned recently with my family. And I understand when he talks about his family, I feel the same way. My mother's, she's in the hospital right now. She's been in the hospital in and out she spent the Christmas 3 months. She went in the hospital on December 13th, and she came out about 2 weeks ago. She got pneumonia again, and she's back in. So sickness comes quickly, but it doesn't leave very quickly. And I think the point of this for me is, the more we can do to prevent sickness and ill health, the better off we are. So what we find out is, for my mother, now she's 71 years old. She had her leg operated on. She went into full septic shock. She was on life support for 11 days. She lived through it, but she's not going to be able to walk again. She lost the use of one of her legs, and she lost half of her colon. So what you find, this all happens so quickly. And so making sure that we take care of ourselves and stay well is really the key. It's paramount for me. And my father-in-law, who has congestive heart failure, is in the hospital as well today. So it's like hospital week for me at my house. But we love them, and we pray for them and watch over them. But we don't want them to get sick, and we don't want you to get sick either. So we talked about the synergy philosophies to build, sustain, and enhance. And how do we do that? What's the philosophies? We want to make sure that we use ingredients that work. I hope all of you had a good chance to go through the building, through the manufacturing facility today. I spent the first 10 years of my career in that building. And I've spent 7 of it working in operations, and then I worked in customer service, and I worked in education. I spent 18 years in Nature Sunshine. I spent a total of 32 years in natural health. It's the only business I've been in. I'm a little bit like Dan. I don't have the 4-year degree. I don't have some of the things that many others have, but I do have a lot of experience and I have a lot of passion. So we want to make sure that these things work. We design formulas for multiple benefits. These things don't just do one thing. I hear people come and talk to me about ProArginine. It's like for my inflammation, it's for my arthritis, it's for my heart, it does my diabetes. We do that on purpose on many of our formulations. We want to make sure they're safe, not just from a substance category, but also from a microbial, ingestible, everything we look at to make sure that it's a safe product for you. And we want you to be able to use them long term. These products aren't meant to just be taken for 2 weeks and then be done with them. If we can get you to take the products, you'll stay well and you'll overcome some of the major diseases that we see in the United States today. Creating product synergy is my goal. My goal is and I'm going to show you some of that tonight. What does synergy mean as a company, but what does it mean as a product? So build, balance, and circulate. The importance of constitutional integrity. And what I've tried to do is attach a product to each of these terms. So build, you're going to see me put the purple, the grape, the Mystica. You're going to see me put that into the build tonight. You're going to see, and make sure that you're strong and that you have good tissue integrity, that you have good elasticity, that your vessels work. We want to support wellness through homeostasis. We want to make sure that you stay balanced. Dan touched on pH, and he talked about how important it is to maintain, to not be so acidic like we usually are because of all the soda pop we eat, and the meat, and the peanut butter, and all of the things that we eat, the sugar that make us acidic. We can eat a lot of greens, and we have some good products that help us maintain a good balance. And third, the vital delivery pathway for optimal health. What we want to do is make sure that you understand how important ProArginine is in getting your nutrients and getting the toxins out of your body, and how it works with that freeway system of your body. So we have world-class products, and we know, because I know for a fact, because I used to work over there, all the measures that we go through to make sure your product's good. I'm going to give you a short story here. We had a product that's it's not sold here in the US, it's only sold in Korea. We have different products in some of the markets because of regulatory issues. But a product has been going into Korea, and they found that it had a very small amount of something called methylparaben. And we used to use methylparaben in lots of things all the time. We don't use it so much anymore. They think there's some negative effects, but over the last 20 or 30 years, they've stopped using it. We found the government found trace amounts. It was about 8 parts per million. We don't accept anything more than 5 of this particular substance. We had to go through a product that had 30 different ingredients from different suppliers to find out where this methylparaben was coming from. We spent weeks doing this and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to ensure that we maintain our product below 5 parts per million. And it ended up being something that you would have never thought. It was in a plant-based product, and it was actually in the capsule part of the product that we use, that it comes in a capsule, and it was like, you would have never guessed. We don't know why it's in there. They don't know why it's in there. That's the kind of stringent things that we go to make sure that your products are safe. World-class quality. You saw the raw material, you saw the plant, you know the formulas. We have a lot of history doing this. When I started, Nature Sunshine was about a $25 million company. It was a very small company. It was smaller than Synergy is right now, as far as total employees. It was one little building over in Spanish Fork. That building that you went through today has had 4 different add-ons since they built the original building. And so you kind of, as you walk through it, you feel like things aren't in the right place. And it's because they were added on at different times, and that's why the building is like that. But we've been doing this a long time. We spend a lot of money to make sure that it's pure and potent and that it's safe. Safety is really important to us. And we've got $30 million earmarked this year for more safety measure, for additional testing, for some clinical trials that we're working on. There's lots of things that we're doing that are very exciting. And of course, Dan mentioned we were in the top most trustworthy companies. As I do this presentation, and I've been doing webinars with various countries, with Slovenia, with Poland, with Germany, with the UK. I usually do each one of these products, and I usually give it 1 hour. And we talk through it, and I usually have a lot of question and answers. But one of the things we always talk about is proarginine, and everyone knows about the Nobel Prize in proarginine, right? But do you know we have another product that's, and it's not the product per se, but the ingredient in our product, chlorophyll. It has 2 Nobel Prizes, not just one. And so the first one was, the first one I'll show you through the guys that they were. I like their pictures. Put them up here. So this guy, he looks like he's from 1915. He researched plant pigments, especially chlorophyll. He figured out a lot about how chlorophyll worked within the plant itself and how it supplied energy for the plant. And the second one was in 1930, and this gentleman, Hans Fischer, was trying to determine the synthesis on how these pigments worked and how close blood and chlorophyll were as pigments, and that they have some very close similarities in some of the things that they do. Now, it's only one of the pigments of blood. It's not the whole blood, but it's very close to chlorophyll. So we have some really interesting products, and some of you, do any of you take core greens? Yes, you do, very good. Okay, let's do this. How many of you take them in the capsules? How many of you take them in the scoop? It's pretty close, it's pretty even. And I'm surprised because greens, when you aren't used to taking greens, they usually don't taste that good to most people.
Yeah.
Right, you can blend it with other stuff and help that work. But so for your first time rookie herbal users, sometimes the capsules work better, but sometimes just say, hey, blend it up in your smoothie or in your vanilla health shake, and it's great. It turns it green, but it's great. Put it in your proarginine, that's right. So what's in core greens? The grasses, and I want to show you, it's really, a lot of the things have these minerals, but chlorophyll in the core greens is one of the major reasons why it really works. But you've also got cruciferous vegetables, you've got sulfur compounds that are very important, you've got fruits and vegetables like avocado and cucumber, tomato, so there's obviously components that things like zeaxanthin and different components that make these work besides the chlorophyllins. And then you have herbs, which is my passion. I'm a master herbalist. I graduated from a college called Wild Rose College out of Calgary. Plant medicine is what I love. If I can get outside and take pictures of plants and taste plants and be around them. Because plants have personalities. You know, plants are people too, right? So you have to remember that. And it's fun because they live in certain places. They only like to grow in certain sides of the hill or by certain other plant people. They don't like, so they're very particular about the way they grow. Herbs are very fascinating to me. And liquid chlorophyll embodies that chlorophyllin. Sodium copper chlorophyllin is the main ingredient in liquid chlorophyll. It's got the phytolife up here. That's the European version, but the picture was so pretty, I wanted to use this picture. Even though the water, notice the water is really the wrong color. It's like when the photographer guys are doing, it's like, hey, let's put some green food color in. Because when you put liquid chlorophyll in, what color is it? Dark. It's very dark. So if you see chlorophyll in powder, it looks black. And if you are around much of it and you're mixing it, one of my first place I ever worked, in the liquid chlorophyll line. 1982, I was hired on at Nature Sunshine to work in the liquid chlorophyll line as a swing shift operator, filling liquid chlorophyll bottles. And one of the things I found out is if you breathe the sodium copper chlorophyll in dust, it makes everything inside you green, just like when you drink a lot of it. So if you blow your nose, it's all green. But when it comes out of you, if you eat enough of it, you'll know it's green. So I know, probably too much information, but it really does do that. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful product. The ingredients for liquid chlorophyll are sodium copper chlorophyll is the #1 ingredient, and it's sourced from alfalfa typically, or mulberry leaf, and it has a pH of 9.5 to 10.7. So you know that your body stays at a pH of about what?
7.
Between 7 and just a hair above 7, right? Yep. So if you add some alkalizing agents like chlorophyll, you can help balance all of those other things that create more of an acidic environment. Alfalfa juice extract, barley juice extract, and peppermint oil. Really, the peppermint oil helps with a little bit with digestion, but it also makes it a nice flavor. So there are some multiple benefits for it. The other ingredients are filtered water and vegetable glycerin. And the vegetable glycerin is what we use as the preservative, and it gives it a mildly sweet flavor, and it's a very benign, easy to use preservative. It comes usually from coconuts or date palms, and that's why I put those on there, so in your mind you'll remember. The glycerin that we use comes almost always from coconuts, but sometimes from date palms. Non-GMO coconuts, and gluten-free coconuts too, because they never had gluten in them to begin with. Some of the common uses, it's an alkalizer, it's a detoxifier. That's one of the major things. If you go back to the old days, like the really old days, even before me, if you go back that far, you go back to the 1920s, 1930s, greens became a very popular thing in the 1920s. And alfalfa came out, and they started doing alfalfa teas, and they started doing alfalfa tablets in the 1920s. And it was a real big fad. I think before, mostly cows, and it wasn't that big of a fad for them. But it was for the people. And ever since then, they found out, hey, it really works great for prostate problems, and it works great for kidney issues, and it has a detoxifying effect. I don't have as much pain in my joints. So there's a lot of things that it does. It's a great breath freshener. Now, the one thing that it won't do very well is if you eat garlic and then try to use chlorophyll right after. That's probably not the best use. But if it's a chronic issue, then it's likely to be very helpful for you. For immune system support, people have used it for a long time for mutagenicity things. People would call it. It might say for cancers. I wouldn't say that it would cure cancers, but I know people use greens, especially when they're dealing with those types of issues. And lastly, it's great for cardiovascular support. It has an effect on blood pressure as well. So we have several things that have blood pressure lowering capabilities. Some of the research, and I love to talk research because I do a lot of it, and it's interesting to me. Research, if you can take the study and pull it apart and say, okay, what does this really mean and how can I use it? This first study, and I really do like to tell this because it has a direct benefit and a direct correlation to what you do with liquid chlorophyll. So there were 60 people, but there were more than that. There were 105 people that were on this study. 60 of them were given sodium copper chlorophyll in tablets. And we can convert those tablets into exactly how much, I'm going to tell you tonight how much chlorophyll is in your liquid chlorophyll. So you can make the equation work for you. But these people had low white blood cell count. They put them on a regimen of 120 milligrams of sodium copper chlorophyll for 4 weeks. They also had a group of people that were on a pharmaceutical agent called leucogen, and then a control group or a placebo group that didn't get anything. They thought they did, but they didn't. What they found is over the course of 4 weeks, sodium copper chlorophyll, main ingredient for liquid chlorophyll, raised white blood cell count equally as well as the pharmaceutical. In fact, The pharmaceutical was 2 percentage points lower than the sodium copper chlorophyll in building white blood cells. So it's like that really, that's something that you could actually equate and work with. The next one, the effects of a dietary supplement, charcoal and sodium copper chlorophyll on something called trimethylamine, which is trimethylaminuria, which is a smell that it's a genetic smell that certain people have. They found a group and it makes you smell like fish. It makes you stink all the time. It never goes away. It's a genetic disorder that people have. But what they found is they could control this smell using sodium copper chlorophyll with people. And they had to take, I'm trying to remember what the dose was. So I keep these up here, 180 milligrams per day. So 180 milligrams of sodium copper chlorophyll they were able to treat this smell and keep the smell down. So acting as a deodorizer, it has a definite effect. This one I love. This one, when I found this study, it was done in 2010. What they did is they cooked meat, they fed it to people, they had two different groups, and then they switched the groups. So it was a crossover study. They had certain people eat either beef or pork cooked at a low temperature, or beef or pork cooked at a high temperature. And then they measured white blood cell count and DNA damage in the colon. What they found was that the people that had eaten the meat that was cooked at a lower temperature didn't have much DNA damage or mutagenicity. But the people that ate meat that had been cooked at high temperatures had quite a bit of DNA damage. So this is a good barbecue tip. So don't cook your meat quite as hot. You'll have less cancerous compounds. And what they found out is when they gave these people chlorophyll or yogurt or cruciferous vegetables, that they could cut the DNA damage by more than double from the people that didn't get it. So what they found out was they needed to add the chlorophyll to the diet when they ate the fried meat that was cooked at the higher temperature. So in our minds we think, how does that work? If I'm going to eat a lot of highly cooked foods, sodium copper chlorophyll or liquid chlorophyll can prevent some of the damage that occurs in our colons. And that's where they're most worried about is colon cancer and eating these carcinogenic, fried hamburgers was another one that they talked about. I mean, we've all heard of these. So
Burnt steaks.
Yeah, don't burn your steaks. Don't burn them. I wanted to read you one more thing. This was really, it's hard to remember all the effects of it, but there was a mutation letter. This was done quite a long time ago, but in the 1980s. It said that chlorophyll was tested for its ability to inhibit mutagenic activity of a wide variety of mixtures, things like fried beef, pork, cigarette smoke, tobacco snuff, chewing tobacco, airborne particles, coal dust, and diesel emissions. And it was highly effective in treating 8 of the 10 compounds that they tested. This came out in something called the Mutation Research Letters that's published by Elsevier, which is a very respected group. And it said, the mechanism of the automutagenicity, or why it stops these cancer cells, is unknown. We don't know why chlorophyll does that, but we know that it doesn't. The data reported here indicate that chlorophyll is potentially useful as an anti-mutagenic agent. So oftentimes we kind of dismiss liquid chlorophyll as just a nice green drink that we drink and it's great and it tastes like peppermint and that's great. But there's some great benefits to it. What's the dose a day? So the dose is, serving size is 10 mils, which is 2 teaspoons. And that equals 30 milligrams of chlorophyll, sodium copper chlorophyll. And so if you'll remember that each milliliter, a milliliter is approximately one of those droppers, a little dropper that you'd either use for eardrops or eye drops or whatever, for liquid, is 1 milliliter. So 30 milligrams of chlorophyll, the daily maintenance dose is 20 milliliters twice a day. And if you're going to use it intensively, I would suggest that you take it 3 times a day, like 15 milliliters 3 times a day, depending upon what you're trying to use it for. It's a dark green liquid. We don't really have any contraindications or known medical contraindications. The length of use as long as you'd like to take it. So it's a very safe product, and it's a very nice, continually detoxing, deodorizing, blood strengthener, something that helps you with blood pressure and with inflammation. So for use summary, take the appropriate dose for what you're trying to do. What are you trying to accomplish? And that's the dose you need to look at. Be consistent. Make liquid chlorophyll part of your 90-day challenge. So make this part of your Get Well Wellness Challenge group. And for best results, I always say take 30 minutes prior to or with your meal. And we don't often talk about drinking a lot with your meal. You can sip this. People ask me, can I take it straight? Yes, you can. And they'll say, well, what's the difference? The difference is potency. You're getting a lot more because you're not drinking, you're not mixing any water with it. So depending on how much you squirt in your mouth, and know that whatever it comes in contact with, typically at that strength, turns green and stays green for a while. So don't splash it on your clothes. It will not come out of your clothes. The second is Mystica, the antioxidant fruit blend. And this is another product that people use, they like, but it's not nearly as popular as Pro-Arginine. And if people knew what it did and why they should take it with their Pro-Arginine, would do a lot better with it. People would take it a lot more frequently. So here's some of the berries. It's all the reds and blues and purples. And I put a little thing so you remember that it's for your heart. It's also for your heart. We're going to talk about some of those things. Heart, memory, blood sugar. There's some really good reasons why you want to take your berries. How do we rate superfruits? Well, we rate them on 4 categories. Nutrient density. So how many nutrients do they have in them? What's their antioxidant strength? How much research has been done? And research doesn't really make or break a plant, but oftentimes it helps us understand how to use a plant better. And what's the impact potential? What do we know anecdotally? So if you were going to take berries, which berry? I mean, what berry right now is getting a lot of press? Do you know?
Acai.
Acai. But you know which one has received the most research in probably the last 12 months is blueberries. Blueberries have had a lot of research. I mean, grapes always have research on them because the wine people pay for that. But blueberries have had a lot of research done on them. So we see goji being very, very good. Sea buckthorn, acai, pomegranate, all of these are very good fruits. But we rate them differently, and the categories, sometimes they'll get better. We'll do more research and say, wow, we didn't know that cranberry was so good at doing X, and it comes up the scale. So know that that's how we rate superfruits. Superfruits, though, are super for different reasons. They have different compounds. They work differently in the body. Some things are things like anthocyanins or proanthocyanins, the things that make them turn to purples and reds and blues depending upon their pH. Or they may be things like quercetin that are more of a whitish yellowish color that are flavonoids. And they have definite anti-inflammatory properties. So I just listed a few up there just to show you they have different what we call active compounds. Here's a picture of each of them. You all know them. You've all eaten many of them, I'm sure. Current research. Anti-influenza for elderberry. We know it does that. It has the ability to inhibit viral replication. So it's very important. You can take elderberry syrup, or I know some people in the past have made elderberry wine or elderberry pies. So all elderberry is good. I don't know if too much wine is good for you, but all the other things should be pretty good for you. Lycium barbarum, which is, who knows their botanical names?
Anti-aging.
It's Lycium barbarum is goji. Okay, so goji has an anti-aging effect, and this particular study was done on mice, but it was done on some of the proteins that build up in your brain with senility. And what they find is that it has an effect on reducing plaquing and building up for these things that would cause dementia or Alzheimer's. Pomegranate was able to help reduce free radical damage and reduce and help with sugar levels for type 2 diabetics, but it didn't have any negative or really that many positive effects from what they measured in this particular study. So it really affected those people that had diabetes. What we find out is usually things like that, the more illness that you have, the more room that you have to get well, the quicker we see results. But it may have just been the parameters of pomegranate. So antioxidant activity, we measure ORAC. The first column is off. I took off there's no names on these, but these were our competitors. ORAC is for oxygen radical absorbance. Anthocyanin content, which is something that, it's usually the thing that we think of when we talk about purples and reds. And things like resveratrol, grapes. Polyphenols is usually a whole family of things, very good anti-inflammatories, and are found in almost all the fruits that we talk about, and in the catechins as well. And so we see that your Mystica has done very well against the competition. And my wife tasted it when I've worked here now at Synergy for almost a year next month. And the first time I took the Mystica home, she said, "This doesn't taste that great." I said, "You're right, it doesn't. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to give you all of these compounds and to make this as potent and strong an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory as we could." So taste wasn't the first order of business, it was activity. And then we worried about taste afterwards. But it's not bad, it's just not going to be a sweet, really sweet drink. Yeah.
I have a question about
Yes.
Shelf life in the fridge.
Shelf life in the fridge.
3 years.
No.
Wrong. Good question, though. That's good.
Less than a month, right?
I think it's.
I would say 30 days.
Seems like
Hopefully
it
it shouldn't sit that long.
Oh, I know. I have allergies and I take it a lot for that. And then when I feel good, I keep it around.
Yeah, so he has allergies. So what happens is he uses it a lot when the allergies happen, but then when the allergies goes away, he lets it sit in the fridge until the next time he has an allergy. So he lets it sit, and then it smells funny, and the bottle gets big, and then he drinks the rest of it, and then,
It feels really good.
yeah, and then he feels great.
It seems to get thicker.
This would be on top of it. Is Mystica ever going to come in single packs? It doesn't have to be refrigerated.
Is Mystica ever going to come in single packs?
What she's saying, I think maybe, is that she'd really like to have Soul back.
No.
Actually not saying that.
No.
No, I'm saying.
We've talked a lot about it. We've talked about it in two different formats, one in a small liquid and one in a stick pack that you could actually add your own water.
Yeah.
So, but we haven't done the research to find out, would you guys really buy it if it was in a stick pack?
Let's pull it.
So there's some of that work that we need to do, but because of cost of packaging, it's likely not going to be in liquid in smaller packs, and they don't sell very well, but they're great for sampling. They're great for taking on trips and stuff.
How long do they last in a little packet?
They'll last, depending upon how you treat them as far as the liquid.
Yeah.
They're usually like a year, 6 months to a year.
I still have a couple.
Yeah, they may be good, they may
I'm
not be
afraid
good.
to use them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get through these. Here's your last thing. What do we think of superfruits? Circulatory, brain, tissue, immune system, tissue integrity. Remember skin. Remember that these fruits are really good for your skin, and they help you that elasticity. You can improve the texture of your skin just by adding this. I'm gonna skip that, that's not the right one. This should say Mystica, but I think, Paul, that was part of my trip to Ireland. I can't remember. But it's the same product, and the berries are the same. Red equals the heart. Remember heart. It supports endothelial function. I'll show you why that's important. See, we had two of those. That was not good. Okay, I wanted to get to this chart. Build, balance, and circulate. The synergy of these things is very important. Proarginine, we know it builds nitric oxide. It balances your blood pressure, and it increases circulation by vasodilation. It's what proarginine does. Core greens and liquid chlorophyll can stimulate, they build white blood cells, they build blood. They balance your pH, and they reduce the amount of toxins in your blood. They actually bind to them and help carry them out, thereby allowing your blood, we call it a depurative. We might call it a blood cleanser in the old days, but a depurative is the same thing. And Mystica improves tissue, builds tissue integrity, it balances your immune system, and it gives you better elasticity for your tissue. So it helps. So we're going to show you how these things all work together. So let's just pick a couple here. Heart. Nitric oxide, L-arginine produces more nitric oxide. You get better vasodilation, better blood flow. The superfruits for the heart reduce endothelial inflammation. There's some good studies out on this. So we hear people say, oh yeah, if you get old, you can't do this, and you have too much inflammation in your endothelium or in your vessels. Guess what? If you use your fruits, you can reduce a lot of that and make your proarginine work even better than it already does. You can reduce homocysteine levels via sodium copper chlorophyll, and so you have this whole synergistic effect by taking all three of these to help your whole circulatory system work better. I'll pick one more. Let's see, blood sugar. Nitric oxide increases insulin secretion and improves transportation throughout your system. So you're going to be able to get the insulin to the sugar where it can be metabolized. It increases the sensitivity. Sometimes our bodies don't recognize sugar very well, especially as we get diabetes and as we get more progressed stages. And it can increase pancreas support by reducing sodium copper chlorophyll, reducing pancreatic inflammation. So all of a sudden you have this really nice synergistic effect of this, and these are 4 categories using the same 3 products. So very important that we use them together and we learn how to use them, how much to take them. So I wanted to show you one more thing. This is on L-arginine. This is a, do I have, it doesn't have that. I don't have a, do I have a thing? I don't have a pointer. Okay, this bottom line is oral ingestion of L-arginine. The top line was injected. And they did it on purpose to show this. But what you find out is over the course of these minutes, the minutes are across the bottom, the concentration is across the top. This is very typical of L-arginine and how it's absorbed into your body. So after the course of about 2 hours, you're going to see that start to drop off and tail off and get almost back down to baseline after about 8 to 10 hours. You may get a little bit longer than that, 12, 14 hours, but realistically, you're going to get your best over the course of 6 to 8 hours. That's where you're going to get your best plasma levels. So what it tells you about proarginine, if you want to increase the circulation and drive all of these other ingredients and these nutrients throughout your body, you need to take proarginine twice a day. You need to take it in the morning, and then you need to wait, and then after 8 or 10 hours, you need to take it again.
1 scoop at a time?
Well, you can do 1 scoop at a time. I know some people do 2, but 1 scoop is usually, that's the baseline. That's your maintenance level, so yes. But that helps you understand in your mind. It's like, okay, we need to take this once, we're going to drive it, and then we're going to do it again in 8 or 10 more hours and do it twice.
What about if you do it every 8 hours?
You can do it every 8 hours, yeah. You can, and depending upon how much you take, will drive up how much plasma levels you have, to a certain degree. Once you get past about 10 grams, 2 scoops, your body starts to just get rid of it. It starts to go out through the eliminatory channels. After 2. Yeah, so you can go up to about 10 grams, and then you're going to start to just, you're not going to be able to utilize it. Okay?
Now, that's not a serving, right? If I did 2 in the morning,
That's
if I
2.
did 3, I might be overdosing.
Right, at one time, your body's, and you can adjust to it, but 2 scoops is 10 grams of L-arginine.
Well, if I did
Okay.
2 in the evening.
You could do 2 and 2 if you wanted, and still
that would
utilize
still
one.
do.
Sure, yeah.
Now, if you sip it during the day, will it keep it up higher?
If you sip it during the day, it goes directly against what you take. So depending upon how quickly you sip it or how much you use, it'll drive your plasma levels up accordingly, right? So if you take, I usually drink all mine at one time, and I get that kind of a response. If you sip it, it's going to be a much more gradual, above normal, but more gradual throughout the day.
Is there any benefit to one than the other, or?
Oh, yeah. You get a greater effect for vasodilation if you take more. But as far as things like cholesterol effect, a small dose over the course of the day is very beneficial. So depending upon what we're dealing with, may change why we take it the way we take it. Yeah.
What about the looser stools?
What about loose stools? Yes, those happen.
Gas.
Yeah, so you reduce your dose, take it more level, and you'll get rid of that. And you'll become accustomed to it after a couple of weeks. But Paul's he's got the.
All right, I'm the guy with the big, the Grim Reaper coming to.
Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys being here.
Okay. Thank you, Lamar. He's got a host of information. So, a host of knowledge, if you didn't know. So, okay, we've got two special guests that are going to go very quick. Okay, I know a number of you are like, okay, I got to get out of here. I need some sleep. Okay. Yeah. That's one of our guests speaking. That was the wild animal we heard earlier. So first off, I'd like to have Dane Orange, who actually has a guest with him, take a couple of minutes. Dane is a presidential, and actually Dane is everybody's upline in this room.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We've got to wrap this up fast, okay? I have a special guest. I've been all over not maybe the world, but I was in Southeast Asia a couple of weeks
Hold
ago.
that mic up there.
With Goofy Eric.
Yeah!
Yeah, see, with Goofy Eric. But we had a great time. And every place we go, we tell people about ProArginine Plus. We tell them about Synergy. We talked to a guy who owned a company, was in Russia. We talked to an airline pilot. We talked to a lady from Laos and had other people. And we don't miss an opportunity to talk about ProArginine Plus. But once in a while, you have an experience that really touches you. I mean, it really touches your heart. That happened to me about between Christmas and Thanksgiving. Okay? I was having my hair cut. And I go to this place up in Highland. And I know these girls really well. And I tease them, we have fun. And there was a lady in there. And her name was Kirsten. And she was 4 or 5 months pregnant. And I said, how you doing? And she goes, well, I'm doing good. And I go, well, what's the deal? Because she wasn't as lively as all these other girls. I go, what's the deal? And she talked about her husband and how he came back from war with post-traumatic stress. And the difficulty was causing her in her life and how much she loved her husband, but he didn't come back the same guy because he went out and saved our country so that we can do the things that we do. And these are my real heroes. Everybody knows, I grew up in baseball. And Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and all the Giants were my heroes. I mean, I love these guys. If Willie Mays had a bad day, I had a bad day. If the Giants didn't win, I had a bad day. But I've changed. My heroes now are the people who protect our country. And Kirsten was talking about her husband. And he's here tonight. He's a special guest. Chris, could you come up? This is my hero. Right here. This is my guy. I love this guy. And I want him to talk to you a little bit about his story, okay? But I only want to talk about things that he feels comfortable with because I don't want to embarrass Chris. Because what he did for us. He served in Afghanistan and before that in Iraq, right, Chris? And what were you in Afghanistan? What'd you do?
I was a sniper.
For who?
The Marines.
He was a Marine sniper, okay? Now, I've talked to a guy I know who's a colonel, and he's an Army colonel. And I said, well, I've got a friend of mine who's a Marine sniper. He goes, that's a special breed of soldier, Dane. That's a special breed of soldier. This is a sniper. I want to ask him, you came back with post-traumatic stress, Chris?
Yes.
came back with post-traumatic stress.
Yes.
And what did they do for you?
Pills.
Go ahead, tell us a little bit about what happened.
I came back in 2010. Sorry, this is kind of unexpected. I came back in 2010. I served over in 2009, 2010 in Afghanistan. I was over in Iraq in 2006 and 2007. Iraq was a lot different than Afghanistan. Afghanistan, we were kind of in the middle of nowhere, no power, in the southernmost part of Afghanistan. And we lost a lot of good guys. And when I got home, I wasn't the same. I tried to get a job and work a normal life. I ended up getting fired from my first job I got just because I couldn't get along with anyone that worked there. I got pushed on a third deployment with the Marines as a platoon sergeant. Went over to Okinawa, Japan, and trained a bunch of young Marines that were getting ready to go over to Afghanistan. And I ended up getting sent home early from that deployment because my drinking, I got really heavy into alcohol, and I just couldn't lead Marines anymore. I got home from that, and my wife was pregnant at the time, and all I did was drink and fought and drink and fight. And I went through severe post-traumatic stress treatment in California, where all they did was put me on pill after pill, and every single pill I tried, some of them were good, but they all had bad side effects. Not sleeping, or I couldn't find anything. And then I kind of just lost hope and just tried to kind of bury everything. Moved back to Utah with my wife and our baby, and I actually got sober. I was going through AA and not drinking, and then I went to a Marine Corps ball and talking to he was a major, retired major. He was about 75 years old. 3 Purple Hearts, fought in some of the hardest fights that the Marines have ever fought in, and it just brought me back to Afghanistan, and I started drinking again that night. And I went right back into drinking, and I got so low I didn't want to live anymore. I had a wife and a son, and I wasn't happy, and I knew I should have been happy. But then my wife came home one day and said that this man had wanted to give us this product to try. And so she got the product from Dane and brought it home, and I let it sit there for a month because I kind of thought of it as another drug. I'm not going to try this. I'm doing fine, I guess. And finally, she convinced me to start taking it. And now I take it twice a day, every day. And I've never felt better in my life. And I have a lot of friends that have issues, like I did. And when you're dealing with Marines like this, it's hard to get to them because they don't think they need help. But I want this product to get out to them because they need it. That's great. That's what's good.
I love our military people because they allow us to do what we do because they're out there on the front lines fighting for us. And we do everything we can for these people. And I've been all over the world Everywhere I go, I talk about Pro-Arginine Plus to anybody. But sometimes there's just somebody special that you give it to, and it changes their life. Chris told me, you're 26 now, right, Chris? When he was 25 years old, he said he was sitting on his couch, and he had his head in his hands, and he was going, do I have to live my life like this? Do I have to live the rest of my life like I'm feeling now? And he didn't know where he would go, because he suffered so bad from post-traumatic stress. He was on how many medications, different medications? 15 different medications, okay? That's what they were giving him. And really, it'd take his medication, but it'd make him feel so bad that he couldn't function as a human being, he told me. But if he didn't take it, he'd get anxiety attacks. He was in a catch-22. He had nowhere to turn. And so when I saw his wife that day, I said, you wait right here. I'm going to go give you some Pro-Arginine Plus. I want you to give it to your husband. Because I've had other experiences with this, with post-traumatic stress. And then she left me a message one day, because Chris wouldn't take it between Christmas and Thanksgiving and Christmas, right, Chris? Because he was worried what it might do for him over Christmas, she told me, but really he probably didn't believe that it would do what it did. And now he's a totally functioning human being because of Pro-Arginine Plus. And we can do this. We got to get it out. Chris wants to help his buddies now, and he wants to help the people. And this is just one experience, but this one's touched me like none other. None other. After I heard from Chris, I said, his wife, I said, Kirsten, you bring Chris over, I want to talk to him. And so he came over to my house that night, and I talked to him about this. And we got him some more product, and he's still doing really well. And you've been on for a couple months, right, Chris? A couple months now, he's still doing well. This is what we can do, people. We can help people. We have to open our mouths and let people know. There's been people up here that said that Dane saved my life because he introduced me to Pro-Arginine Plus. Well, you know, nothing's touched my heart like Chris has. Nothing has. And I walk around and I just think about it. Chris has a beautiful wife. I mean, I love his wife too. He just had a new little baby boy. And I can't tell you what this has done for me. And I don't have to do this anymore. I really don't. I don't have to travel. I don't have to do anything because I make more money than I ever thought I'd ever make. But that's not why we do it. We do it to go out and help people. How many other Chris's are there out there? We got to go find these people. These are our heroes. These are real heroes. Not these guys that get up and sing songs on the stage, or these professional athletes, or these politicians who cause us all these problems. This is our heroes. This guy. We got to go out and help these people. We have to help everyone. And that's what we need to do. So I know this has been hard for Chris. The last thing I want to do is get him up here and say something that he doesn't want to say. I don't ever want to do that to him because I respect him too much for what he's done for our country and for each one of us. We got to get out there. We have something we can share with people. And I share it all the time, but nothing's touched me like this. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Dwayne. Hey, thank you very much, Chris. So appreciate that. I've got 2 brothers and a brother-in-law in the military. One's been deployed 4 times. The one just got out, and earlier today, after 9 years in the military, he just put in his papers and is the newest Synergy distributor as of today. So, Chris, have you tried the liquid chlorophyll and the Mystica?
I have not.
All right, well, you're going to. So.
Yeah,
All right. Eric, our last guest is Eric. He's going to come up, take 5 minutes or so. He's been giving me a bad time. He's back there saying, no. Okay, but this is a guy I've come to know over the last, 5, 6 years. We've traveled together, we've laughed together, and he is unfiltered as they come. He's like another Howie. So Eric's gonna close our meeting. Remember, we start at 9 o'clock, right, Howie, tomorrow morning?
Yes.
9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So with that, come early.
Yeah, right.
Not after tonight. No, it's not bad. We're supposed to end at 9:15, so we're doing good. So, all right. So with that, Mr. Eric.
Hey, thanks, guys. I learned in professional speaking that the brain can only endure what the butt can. Okay, and I know you guys are done. All right, I am done. I will share with you one thing. You notice something about Dane? Hey, how many of you know Dane? Let me see, raise hands up. What is Dane? Is Dane like a people magnet?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Why? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that young lady, that she was interested in that beauty shop? Why were you in a beauty shop for anyway, dude? Wow, I am so worried about you. We gotta talk one more time. So, why do you think she listened? Why do you think she listened to him? Yeah, because let me tell you what. Because this is the thing you gotta get in your head. Okay, you gotta get this square in your brain. All right, belief. All right. Let me ask you something. Do you think that when she talked to Dane, she knew he believed in what he was talking about? What do you think?
Yes.
Without question. There's not a single, he believes it. Do you believe when he's up there telling you about it? Do you believe it? Yeah, without question. Okay? Matter of fact, I have people ask me, say, well, tell me about your product. I say, I don't need to. The product works. What do you mean? It works on everybody every time without question. The last thing you need to worry about is my product. What you need to worry about is building the business. Don't worry about the product. It works. When your belief system is here, it changes everything. You ever have this happen? The first time you go out, or the second or third time you go out, you think of somebody, oh, this person's going to be awesome. And you go tell them about it, and they have this disbelief system, and your belief system's here, and they say, well, I'm already using the product, and I really don't need that one. That sounds like a really stupid thing anyway. And they just crush you. Anybody have that happen? Yeah? Let me tell you what. That is what happens when somebody's disbelief is higher than your belief. But when your belief system is here, okay? When your belief system's here, and their disbelief is here, you will overcome them every single time. All right? You just need to understand that, the belief. Listen. You don't need to worry about rebuttals. You don't need to worry about a person saying, oh, what do I say when they say this? You don't have to worry about that, because when you believe, when you know it, there is nothing they can say that you can't say, I know it works. Does it work for this? Try it. I know it works. You don't have to understand all the science behind it. I'm talking to my son-in-law's dad. And we were talking today, as a matter of fact, I was talking, you know Rod Arquette? How many know Rod Arquette? He's the guy on that talk radio thing, with they have all that. Anyway, he was over there, and I was telling him about the product, and I was talking to my son-in-law's father, and we were talking about belief. And he's a dentist, and he said, that's absolutely right. When I was a dentist, my belief system had to be here. And if I was going to help anybody, they had to know that I believed in what I was doing. It is no different for this business. It is no different for this product. You want your business to expand, you've got to know that. Now, there's ways you can do that. Tomorrow morning, they're going to teach you how to bring your belief system up. Don't miss it, okay? Don't miss it. That is so critical. The second thing you got to do is you got to understand, along with belief system, there's only one other thing, in my opinion, you really need, and that's this. If you come up to somebody and you say, hey, what if Dane would have said this to that young lady? Hey, we got some product. I think it might help your son. I mean your husband. I'm not sure, but maybe, here, try it. Maybe, try it and see. I don't know. Try it. Give it a shot. What do you think she would have said? No. Get away from me, you crazy old man. Okay? When you add energy to what you believe, people will respond. And here's another thing that's very important. Everybody wants to be a leader, right? If you really want to be a leader, believe, okay? People want to follow a believer. Do you ever notice that? People want to follow someone who believes. They want to. They're missing it in their life. Most people don't have it. Or they have it for one part of their life, but not for another. You believe. Add energy to it. And I'm telling you, people will want to follow you. They'll want to have what you have. They'll want to participate in it. And you're going to get to the point where you have to tell some of them, no, I'm not interested in having you. I got a neighbor who lives across the street from me. He wants to join me. I tell him, no, no, I do not want him. He will suck my life away. Okay? I know him, and it's not going to work. Go to somebody else. Leave me alone. Okay? That's the fact. Okay? Your belief system is there. You can make those kind of decisions because people will want to have what you have. I know some of you, and I want what some of you have. You have a leader. You're a leader in different parts of your life. Become a leader in this part of your life, in your business. Thank you so much. You guys have a great service.
Of another network marketing company, and he called me, and I didn't really know him. He called to recruit me into this other company. And I don't know, that was probably 6-7 years ago, and look who's in which company now. So, I believe. Of course, you didn't join us. Thanks a lot, Aaron. All right, a giveaway, and then we're done. Howard's wondering where all the other stuff is. I've already been giving it away, Howard. Sorry. Okay, get your tickets out.
Go for the big basket in one of these.
All right, big basket.
Go ahead. Do the bad guy.
And Lee cannot win. 79427 and 6.
Yeah! Oh, he did.
Were you sponsored by Lee?
Yes, sir.
No,
We won't check.
you're good.
That takes a